If you're not, if everyone could just mute their feed, it causes less interference until they have time, it's time to speak. All right, I'd like to call the meeting of the August 13th, 2020 meeting of the Burlington Conservation Commission to order pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th, let me make sure I'm on here. Yeah, March 12th, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law and Governor's March 15th order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in any one place. This meeting of the Town Burlington Conservation Commission is being conducted through remote participation. No in-person attendance of members is permitted, but every effort is made to ensure adequate public participation. A reminder that persons who would like to listen or view this meeting while in progress may do so by tuning into the BCAT Government Access Channel or the BCAT Government Meetings Facebook Live feed, or you can join the meeting. There is a phone number, 408-418-9388. It's meeting number 129-246-8069. Okay, so if you need that information again, you can go to the Town of Burlington calendar and go to the date for today, check on the Conservation Commission's agenda, and you will see that link right there. Okay. New public hearings open tonight will not be closed, so we can allow comments from those who are unable to access or uncomfortable with the technology. Comments and concerns regarding public hearings should be emailed to conservation@burlington.org before the next meeting, September 10th. Okay, so if you need that information again, just go to the agenda on the town's homepage. Okay, I will ask each applicant, I'll do a roll call to each applicant to introduce themselves. There is a chat function which perhaps John and Eileen will monitor. You can, where it says you can raise your hand or just chime in at the right time. All votes will be by roll call. This meeting is recorded. And with that, I'll call the roll call. Don Bernstein. Apparently he's absent, I think. Oh, no, there you are. You're muted, Don. I can see you. Good enough.
Present.
He's here. Gal Lima.
Present.
Indra. Yes.
Present.
Bill Boyven. Jennifer O'Riordan. Is Jennifer here?
She'll be here.
She may be joining later. She's
All right.
She'll be
she'll have
later.
to- Ed Loturco. Ed, you're muted, but I know you're here. I saw you earlier. Ed, you are muted, just so you know. Okay. Is there anyone that is tuned in either by phone or by video feed that wants to say something about citizens' time, which is something not on the agenda? That was item 2. Are we in a position to approve minutes for the July 9th, 2020 meeting? That was the last meeting.
Yes, we are.
All right, is there any discussion on it?
No.
I heard nothing from anyone else. Okay, I have a motion to approve the minutes of July 9th, 2020.
So moved.
Second,
This is Indra, second.
thank you. Gail, how do you vote? Don?
Here,
Gail, how do you vote on the minutes?
Accept.
Indra?
Accept.
Bill?
okay,
Yes.
Ed Loturco? Ed, you're still having issues. As far as I can tell. Let me see, are you still on? I think Ed has logged off and is going to log in again. So it will be 5-0, and I'll give him an abstain. And Jennifer O'Riordan is not here. So it's 5-0-1, 6 votes for the recording. All right, next, 4A. We have a certificate of compliance for 175 Bedford Street. Is there anyone here for that?
Yes, Chris Jong here, Ken Jong as well, from Mac Design Hardware at 175 Bedford Street, LLC.
All right, nice to see you again. All right, so let's, we'll expedite this. John or Eileen, do you have any comments on this? What's the situation regarding compliance?
They appear to be fully in compliance. If you recall, this was a commercial property right almost on top of Vine Brook, so there was really nothing they could do about proximity to the brook. They've put in some nice swales and a forebay. Everything is looking as intended.
Okay. All right, any comment from the commission? There's none, so let's have a motion to approve the certificate of compliance for 175 Bedford Street, DEP file number 122-632.
Bill.
Dale, so moved.
Lost me.
All right, I guess it was seconded.
Damn it.
Call the roll call. Dawn, how do you vote on 175 Bedford? Gail?
Yes, in favor.
And
Yes.
Bill?
Yes, I do want to say I actually drove by there today. It looked very nice, and I actually went inside and bought some draw handles, and it's beautiful on the inside too. They did a very nice job.
All right.
Thank you.
So you're not just a town official, now you're a customer, Bill.
That's right.
Okay, Jennifer's not here yet, right? No. Okay, and how do you vote, Ed? All right, he's not online. Kent, are you here? Are you online?
I am, yes.
All right, I neglected to call your name. I just noticed you were online, so the record should show that Kent Moffett, our Associate Commissioner, is online. Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you.
All right. All right, so that carries 5-0. Ed will be an abstention, 5-0-1. All right, folks, thank you very much for tuning in.
Thank you.
All right.
Larry,
Oh, wait a minute. There wasn't there a bond on this?
yes,
All right, how much was the bond?
7,500.
John or Eileen, do you recommend full release?
Yes, I think so.
All right, could I have a motion for full release of the bond of $7,500 for 175 Bedford Street? Is there a motion?
Bill, so moved.
So move this in.
All right, okay. There's a motion on the floor. Dawn, how do you vote? Gail?
Yes.
Indra?
Yes.
Indra? Indra, yes. Okay.
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
All right, chair votes yes. I believe that's 6-0-0. All right, folks, you're all set.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Thank you very much.
All right, next is a request for certificate of compliance, 1 Derryfield Ave, Scott Lawrence, DEP file number 122-393. I see, Scott, you are online, is that correct? Well, I guess he's here. Even though we don't hear him, I see his,
It doesn't look like he has a camera or a mic, so.
all right, so he's listening. All right, so John or Eileen, what's the situation at 1 Derryfield Ave?
So this is an old order of conditions from about 15 years ago for an addition. The commission did a site visit yesterday. There's a lot of feedback. Is everybody hearing that?
Yeah,
You
I'm
guys
hearing. I think you should mute everyone, and then I will off mute.
I muted it. I just muted everyone and it's still happening.
Yeah, somebody's got a noisy connection.
I'm not really sure why. Everybody's muted.
All right, should we just keep on mush on
Yeah.
here?
Yeah. So anyway, there were some discrepancies. And, but the commission, I think at the site visit, I'll wait till the repeat finishes, didn't think that they were problematic. And I think the commission was fine with issuing the certificate of compliance.
All right. Any further discussion from the commission? All right,
No.
hearing none. Could I have a motion to issue the certificate, 1 Derryfield Ave?
So moved, Bill.
Second, Indra.
Roll call, if there's no discussion. Don? Don? Gail? Indra? Gail, did you approve?
Yes, I did.
Indra?
Yes, approve.
Bill?
Yes.
Ed? Did anybody hear Ed?
I don't think he's back on yet.
Okay.
I think
All
he's
right,
one of the
chair votes
callers.
Yes, that's 5, it's approved 501. We'll give Ed an abstention. Is there any outstanding bond, Eileen?
There was a $1,000 bond. I'm not sure if it was a cash bond. We can check on that, but there was a $1,000 bond that I
Should we
recommended.
release it if it's available?
Yes.
Okay. Could we have a motion to approve the release if the bond exists for 1 Derryfield Ave?
Don, so moved.
So moved, Indra.
Second, Gail.
All right, Don, how do you vote?
Approve.
Gail?
Yes.
Indra?
Yes,
Yes.
Ed does not seem to be on. The chair votes yes, so that would be 501. Right. Okay, so that's approved. All right, so Scott, you're all set. Thank you for tuning in, even though we can't hear you. Have a good evening. All right, next is a request for certificate, item 4C, 10 Wing Terrace. Philip Farmer, is someone representing Philip Farmer here? Or himself?
I'm not sure Phil is going to be here. He had a conflict this evening. But I told him it wouldn't be a big deal because we went to look at it yesterday and I think everybody felt it was in pretty good shape.
Yep.
It's also right on a brook, and he's done a nice job of putting plantings in both in front of and behind the fence, and it looked pretty good.
All right, any comments from the commission? All right, Eileen, as I remember, there were some trees that weren't planted, but the commissioners that were at the site, there was like 3 trees, thought there seemed to be sufficient shade even without the tree planted, 3 trees. Is that correct?
I think that was the thought of the people who were there yesterday. If
All right,
everybody else
unless someone has an objection, could I have a motion to issue a
I just have
certificate
one
of
comment, Larry.
compliance? Yeah, who's that?
Bill, I have a comment.
Please go ahead.
I walked along the outside of the fence where a lot of the plantings were all the way around, and there was numerous
Yeah.
shrubs, which is good, but I'd say 20% of them were dead, so I don't know if they're because of the volume of shrubs, whether it's okay or whether we should request those that have not survived to be replaced.
Well, I think I didn't walk all the way around, Bill, when I was there, so we have to rely on your judgment. It's no surprise that some of them might not have survived in the heat we've had this summer.
Yeah, I agree. But normally we say they have to survive for, a certain amount of time before we give the final blessing. So,
So if 80% of them survived, is that good enough? That's the question, I think.
yeah.
So Bill, John, Eileen, maybe someone can chime in here?
Unfortunately, I didn't put the order of conditions into the file that I have for tonight, so I can't check whether sometimes we actually do say 80%. So I'm not sure, but I mean, I think it would be reasonable to hold a little bit back if you want.
Yeah. If 80% has been done in the past, then this one should be okay.
All right, so we'll let it go. All
Well,
right, so
I'm sorry, I guess this Gail, Eileen, did you say you're not sure that it's 80%? Is that actually a policy or?
I know that 80% has been mentioned on this one. I do not know if we put that on this order of conditions.
Okay, all right. No, I'm sorry, I didn't quite get that.
No problem. Could I have a motion to issue the certificate of compliance for 10 Wing Terrace, DEP file number 122-626?
Gail?
Second?
Second, Bill.
Okay. If there's nothing further from anyone, Don, how do you vote?
Approve.
Gail?
Yes.
Indra?
Approve.
Bill?
Approve.
All right. I do not see, okay, I don't see Ed. So I think we will just leave him even out of the abstentions because he's not here present to vote anymore. So unless he signs in, that will be 5-0-0. The chair votes yes. That carries. Is there a bond?
As I said, I didn't put the order of conditions into the folder, so I'm actually not sure what it was. There definitely was a bond.
There was 3,500.
Thank you.
All right. Are you recommending full release, John or Eileen?
I think that was the conclusion.
All right. Could I have a motion to full release of the bond surety for 10 Wing Terrace, DEP file number 122-626?
So moved. Indra.
Second.
Gail?
All right. All
I
right.
see Ed is back, Larry.
Okay, thank you. Dawn, how do you vote?
Approve.
Gail?
Yes.
Indra?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
All right, chair votes yes, 6-0-0, full release of the bond for 10 Wing Terrace. All right, next is 4D, 56 Middlesex Turnpike by Burlex Realty LLC, DEP file number 122-527. This is a request for our certificate. John or Eileen, comments?
Okay, so this was a project for a parking lot expansion at a commercial building where the Real School of Music is located. So the applicant never actually constructed what was permitted. He did end up constructing a smaller parking lot, which was completely outside of the riverfront area.
Yep.
So, and now he's actually proposing to do additional work. So that's why he's coming in and cleaning this up. And he's probably going to end up filing for an erosion permit for what he wants to do. But so this is basically an order of conditions saying it's an invalid order because no work was ever done within the riverfront area. So it's house cleaning, really.
All right, could I have a motion that indicates we are closing out file number DEP, file number 122-527? It is not a certificate based on the fact that no work was done as proposed.
So moved, Ed.
Second, Bill.
All right, comments? None? How do you vote? Dawn, again?
Yes.
Gail?
Yes.
Indra?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes, Bill.
Ed?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, 600. That carries. Did they post a bond for it, Eileen or John?
They never posted one, no.
Okay, we'll have to make sure that they do for the next time around. Ed,
Okay.
welcome back, Ed Laturco.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, the record should show that Ed rejoined us, starting with item 5A, which is what we're on, Ed.
Okay.
All right, so Eileen, I never got the notices, so you're gonna have to read them. I don't know whether, you said you sent them, but maybe you're using an old email address from many years ago, I don't know.
Oh, that's possible. Sorry. Let me go on to the email. Oh, no, I'll go on to this. Let's see. No, the legal notices aren't there. They're in my email. I'll do it that way.
All right, so we're looking at 105 Wilmington Road. If you want to send them, I can call them up on my other computer at the same time.
Oh, okay. Right. Let me. Well, everybody's going to see your email address now.
What email address did you put down?
What did I send it to? Can you see this? 0829 at Comcast.
Yeah. Yes, that's
Well,
it.
I sent it 3 times.
Well, unfortunately, it is not coming through.
Do you want me to just share them here?
If you want. Okay, we're at 105 Wilmington Road.
I'm trying to open it.
I got all your other emails. This is really strange.
I know. It is. Come on, open. Okay, it doesn't want to open now that we're doing this. Sorry, everyone. Here we go. Do you want to read it yourself, Larry?
I can still read it. Notice is given. The Town of Burlington Conservation Commission will hold a virtual public meeting on August 13, 2020. This is a request for determination filed by Christopher J. Ford. The commission will take all information related to the proposed removal of trees within the 100-foot buffer zone at 105 Wilmington Road in Burlington, and will thereafter issue a determination. The application material is being heard under the State Wetlands Protection Act and Burlington Bylaw Article 14. And of course, you can get it by sending an email if you want to review it, or conservation@burlington.org. Okay, so is Mr. Ford here?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you for tuning in.
Thanks for having me.
All right. All right, so would you like to say anything? You don't have to. You can say as little or as much as you'd like.
Yeah, well, the project is complete. The trees have already been removed. The commission was great. They were concerned about not including us in the July meeting, and I appreciate the fact that they came out to take a look at it beforehand and gave us the approval to go ahead. Contingent on whether or not, when you came out and looked at it again, whether or not you wanted to do any additional mitigation. So if there's anything else that we want to do, obviously happy to talk about that.
All right, John or Eileen, are you recommending any further, anything needs to be done at the site at this point?
No, I don't think so. I think when we went out there to visit, I think it was generally agreed that he's got quite a few trees already there, and other things will come in. It was our fault that it got dropped off the June meeting. We've just between paper and electronic and different people in different offices, and our apologies again to Mr. Ford. That's why we let it go ahead, rather than waiting for several weeks.
Okay.
Well, thanks. None needed. Is a difficult time.
All right, that's very good. For the commissioners that were there, because you'd have to be there to probably decide if anything further needs to be done. Anyone feel anything more needs to be done at 105 Wilmington Road?
No, I was there and I don't feel anything needs to be done.
All right. I am in agreement with that, Bill. So I don't hear anyone else saying anything further.
It had no significant impact on the resource area. There's still plenty of trees.
Right. All right, so the work's already been done. Eileen, would you like to review the decision?
Oh, yeah. I kind of forgot I had to do that. Hang on. Let me just open it up and then I'll share. Which one? It's. Okay. Okay, sorry for the delay. I hope it's about to be ready. No, that's the legal notice. We don't want that. Oh, that's all the legal notices that opened. Come on. Here we go.
For this one, Eileen, I think you
So-
can read it if you have it. It just is not,
I'm sorry, I can what?
you can just do it verbally if you can't get it up.
Oh, I've got it. Hopefully it's sharing right now. So the applicant proposed to cut 11 trees, 7 of which are in the buffer zone bordering vegetated wetlands, leaving the stumps in place. Work would be done from the driveway of the property. The RDA was filed on June 17th and omitted from the July 19th meeting. So as we described, staff gave permission for the work to go ahead. The commission makes no findings as to the exact boundaries of the wetland resource areas on site. Because of the density of tree cover, the commission did not require replacement trees. And most of these commissions are kind of moot because it's actually done. Applicant may proceed with tree removal. If any of removal of other trees beyond those permitted by this decision is recommended, this will require additional approval from the Conservation Commission or Conservation Administrator. And then for tree removals that are not feasible to do by hand, machinery such as a bucket truck or crane shall be located in the driveway or existing lawn areas. And the stumps of the trees behind the house shall not be removed without additional approval from the Commission or Conservation Administrator. The applicant is encouraged to leave snags where possible, feasible for wildlife habitat. And the rest are a standard. And I sent Mr. Ford a draft of this.
All right, does anyone have a comment? Mr. Ford, you have any comment? I mean, this is all,
Nope, all set, thank you.
it's all after the fact anyway. All right, I heard nothing from the commission. I have a motion to approve a negative conditional determination, 105 Wilmington Road.
Gail, so moved.
Okay, Ed moved it. Is there a second?
Second, Ed.
All right. Dawn, how do you vote?
Yes.
Gail?
Yes.
Indra?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. That carries 6-0-0. All right, sir. Mr. Ford, thanks for tuning in.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Yep, you too. Okay, next, 36 Bedford Street. Eileen, you want to put up the particular one?
Okay. 36 Bedford Street. Open it, then share. Right. Okay. All right. Can you see that, Larry?
I do. Notice is given, the commission will hold a virtual public meeting. We have a request for determination filed by Kimball Spencer. The commission will take all information related to the proposed installation of an in-ground swimming pool within a 100-foot buffer zone bordering vegetative wetlands. It's located at 36 Bedford Street. And we will thereafter consider it and issue a determination. This application is heard under State Wetlands Protection Act and going to Bylaw Article 14. Okay, is Ms. Spencer here?
Yes.
All right, I can see you. I can see that you. All right, this is great. All right, so John or Eileen, any?
This was another situation where I let the work proceed. The swimming pool permit application went through the online permitting system, and it came through me to approve. And when I went out to take a look, Kim had already availed of the opportunity to dig the big hole for the swimming pool. So, given the fact that this was also early July, I'm sorry, this terrible reverb. I'm sorry about that. Given the fact that it was also going to be 5 weeks before the next meeting, I didn't want her to be left with a big hole with a very big pile of sediment. So I said she could continue with the work, given the fact that the pool location was approximately 80 feet from the wetland. If it had been, a lot closer, it would have been a different matter. But she put up some silt fence to keep the pile that I observed from migrating. And we said that she could proceed. I don't think it proceeded as fast as she hoped, but that was the situation.
Okay. Ms. Spencer, do you have anything you'd like to say to summarize? I mean, I think Eileen kind of summarized what you were doing, so.
Yeah, she kind of summarized. She's been great to work with. Obviously, I had no idea of wetlands and I did stop everything once we found out, that it had to go through that. And so definitely slower than we thought. Things have been kind of pushed back. Some concrete took a while. It did come. It was cleaned up today. They had left some sediment on the streets. They came back today, removed what was left, took away the sediments. I'm working on this weekend. The guy who dug the hole had left some dirt behind my fence. I do own the property 24 feet behind there, but I do understand we don't want it moving. And so that's going to be cleared up this weekend. And I know there was an issue of more of type of like what type of cement or wall would be going behind it. I sent Eileen over the best that I could today saying that. So behind the pool would be a 1 foot width, 3 foot deep, 26 foot long retainer. Even though it's on my property and I have like the 28 feet behind it, it is kind of sloped. So to avoid any type of dirt moving anywhere, that was the suggestion of the pool guy.
Okay, good summary. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. All right. So for anyone who would like to identify to say something on the commission, please give your name and start talking.
This is Bill. I agree with the points that Ms. Spencer made. Those are the items that I wanted to see cleaned up, the fill that was behind the fence, and particularly the retaining wall, because there is a significant slope there, and not only for migration of the material towards the wetlands, but to protect the support of your pool too. I think you want to make sure that dirt doesn't move. So if what she's describing takes place, I'm satisfied.
All right. Anyone else have a comment or a question? Okay, I should ask if there's any butters or anybody else here that's interested in this project. All right, so my question to Eileen and John is, what additional erosion controls are needed? And what documentation do we need, like a sketch of the wall or something stating what they're doing? What do we need here?
She had sent me a very loose sketch earlier that I thought I had put into the drive, but I couldn't see it right now. I can look in my email if you want me to share that. It was, it was kind of a loose sketch, as we said.
Well, here's my question, Eileen.
Yep.
Is it sufficient, or do we need anything more? And do we need any more erosion controls? That's what I'm really asking.
Sorry, I've just lost you. When I spoke to Kim earlier, I asked her to either move all of the sediment out from behind the fence where it had kind of migrated, or else to put a silt fence in behind that. So I think her agreement was, she very happily said she would move the sediment from behind the fence. So I'm pretty happy with that, as long as it's secured on one side of the property while the work is ongoing.
So what you're saying is you don't need any more erosion control at this point?
I actually can't remember what we now wrote in the draft conditions. Would you like me to go through the draft, because I think we may have specified something more there.
All right.
Is that okay with you?
That's fine. Is there anyone else that has anything they want to say before we review the draft? All right, Eileen, please review it.
There were a lot of determinations, so I can't keep everything straight in my head. There's a lot in this meeting. Okay, how do I keep losing where I am? Bedford Street draft. Okay, so this was Kimberly Spencer proposing to install an 18 by 36 foot in-ground pool in the rear yard of 36 Bedford Street. The pool would have a side deck 10 feet wide and a rear deck 6 feet wide. The RDA was filed on July 9th, and as I explained, we found that the excavation for the pool had already occurred, and rather than leaving the exposed sediment and excavation, we allowed them to go ahead. The work was located within the 100-foot buffer to bordering vegetated wetland and about 75 to 80 feet from the flagged wetland for the project behind at McSweeney Way. The commission is voting to issue a negative determination of applicability. And in this case, the decision is for work as outlined in the project description above only, and nothing beyond that work is permitted in this decision. All destruction or demolition materials and excavated soil shall be disposed of offsite in a legal manner. No excavated soil shall be placed beyond the erosion control boundary. There should be no stockpiling of soil or other materials within 50 feet of wetlands. No tracking of sediments onto public roadway shall be allowed. In the event tracking does occur, sediments shall be swept from roadway daily. As Kim mentioned, there was some concrete that's wash out or spill off that washed onto the road yesterday, but that got cleaned off today. And then no filling or significant grading of the property under this decision. All existing drainage patterns shall be maintained, and this project should not increase the rate or volume of runoff nor cause flood damage to abutters or the property of others. No dumping in the wetlands, no use of pesticides or herbicides within 100 feet of the wetlands. And members of the commission have the right to enter upon and inspect the premises to evaluate these conditions. We also sent Kim a copy of this earlier.
All right. All right, Ms. Spencer, you have any comments? These are kind of routine things, but if you have a question, certainly you can speak up.
No, Eileen did a good job explaining it. As I told her, the yard was open. I'm open to any suggestions anyways, things come along, but I'm keeping my fingers crossed things go smooth. And that
I'm sure
nothing
you.
else happens.
All right. I'm
So
sure
Larry and Eileen, so we were sort of reviewing this draft and kind of waiting to see if we were getting additional plans or whatever. So the draft doesn't actually have requirement for erosion controls in it. And I definitely think erosion controls are needed.
We should put another condition in there.
Yeah. I mean, I think, and I think because of the, frankly, I'm skeptical that they're not going to need a wall. So, I mean, I think not just a wattle, I think like hay bales.
Okay.
State hay bales.
All right, so need a few hay bales on the back
Do you
line,
think
John?
right in front of the fence, John, or behind?
Wherever the limit of work is. I mean, if the limit of work is at that fence, that's fine. I find it hard to believe they're not going to have to go further back.
As far as I'm sorry, I'm just confused. So when the land should be filled in by the end of the week with the dirt that's there. What else is that to stop it when they're filling it back in? You mean to like have it go anywhere?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, because it's a slope down to the adjacent property.
Yeah.
We don't want it running down the hill into the adjacent property.
Even though I own about 27 feet behind it, or 25, I think.
Yeah, there's rocks and stuff in there. So yeah.
Okay.
All right. Okay. One other, Eileen, I had one other condition. I think you should put in there some kind of an advisory statement that if the wall is over 4 feet, you need it be reviewed by a structural engineer.
She's aware of that, but okay.
Yep.
All right.
Will do.
Okay. Is there anyone else? Hearing nothing, could I have a motion to issue a negative conditional determination for the swimming pool project at 36 Bedford Street? Is there such a motion?
So moved, Ed.
Second?
Second, Gail.
All right. Dawn, how do you vote?
Approve.
Gail?
Yes.
Linda?
Approve.
Bill?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, 6-0-0. Good luck with your pool project.
I appreciate it.
They'll probably be ready just in time for the cold weather.
I want one swim, just one.
Okay, let's hope for that for you.
All right,
Okay,
thank you.
take care.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right, next, the notice for 11 Ruthven Ave, please. You want to put it up, Eileen?
Can you guys hear me?
I can.
Oh, beautiful. Not sure. There we go.
All right, good to see you.
Good to see you guys.
All right.
About 7 years now.
All right, so Eileen, you got that notice? You're looking for it? Here we go. All right, the Town of Burlington Conservation Commission will hold a virtual public meeting during which time we have a request for determination filed by Sadiq Muller, and the commission will be taking information related to the proposed installation of a fence on a stream bank and within a 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetative wetlands. The property is located at Ruthven Ave. The application is being heard under the State Wetlands Protection Act and Burlington Bylaw Article 14. All right, Mr. Muller, would you like to make any comments to start us off at all?
Yes, sir. What I'd like to say is I've had the property. I came before you guys about 7 years ago. When I was building the property, it has a perennial, actually, I take that back, seasonal stream in the back. For the last 6 years, there's a liquor store, a commercial property behind me. All the beer bottles, the boxes, and whatnot have been dumped into it. Just recently, when I say recently, about 2-3 months ago, I paid nearly $5,000 to have everything cleaned out from there. John has seen what it looks like now. What I'm asking the Conservation Committee for is a permission to put, there was already an 8 feet existing wooden fence there, about 80 feet or so. That was owned by the laundry place. I had talked to him and he gave me the permission to go ahead and replace that with a vinyl 8-foot. So what I have done thus far is cleaned out the stream. John has seen that, and I have put back the 8-foot vinyl fence that's there. I have not completed the entire project, as per my understanding and conversation with Eileen and John, that I'm waiting further instructions from the Conservation Committee and your approval to do that. The reason for, sorry, let me complete that. One of the reasons I'm doing this is because there's a garbage barrels that one smells. Two, when I first moved in, I've had people do drugs in the back. I have pictures just up to 2 weeks ago, people passing out, drinking, and there's a couple alcoholic guys that are literally laying out there. I've had to call our Burlington Finance a few times to get them off. I am tired of seeing that. I'm tired of actually all these waste being dumped into the stream, even though it's perennial. Even though it's seasonal. One of the reasons that we bought this property is because we liked it when in the fall the water would actually flow through. I'd like to continue to preserve that and asking the Conservation Committee to let me continue to expand on that 8-foot fence vinyl across.
Okay, thank you. That was a good summary.
I appreciate it.
And I can certainly understand why you wouldn't want all that trash and that stuff happening on that other side.
Yep.
Okay, John or Eileen, could you outline the issues involved at this particular location?
Sure. So this is primarily a new fence, as Mr. Muller said. Part of it, there was a fence for part of it. It's kind of old and rotten. So he's basically replaced the fence. I'm not really sure there's more to extend. We were out there yesterday, and it looked like the fence is pretty much done.
It's not. I still have quite a more to go, but that's. I
Really?
mean, I've covered. Yeah, we could talk about that after you. Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. All right. So it's right on the bank, on the far bank from his house. So it's on the bank, the Wind Street side of the bank, and It's a bank it's not a naturally vegetated bank on the far side. The pavement goes virtually up to the bank. So although there's a fence right on the bank, I don't think that is impacting the bank at all. Mr. Muller did cut vegetation all along the stream. From what I could see, vast majority, if not all of it, though, was Japanese knotweed. So that's not really an issue. That is unfortunately will certainly grow back in no time. It's already growing back fairly
It
quickly.
has already, if you see it yesterday.
Yeah. And so I don't really have an issue with the fence installation. The one outstanding issue, though, is that there is a requirement for another fence, the original fence on the other side of the stream, which was supposed to be about 10 feet away from the bank to give the stream a natural, protection area. And that fence has been removed and really needs to be back. That was a perpetual condition in the original order of conditions. So those are the issues.
So John, did we specify any specific type of fence? I mean, could it be like a post and rail demarcation and let the area beyond it go natural? Is there any?
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. It doesn't have to be a solid fence. And now that he has a solid fence on the other side, he probably would prefer something that he could actually see through. That would be fine.
Right. So what I initially had was a pressure treated, sort of like a farmer's fence, if you will. Does that sound about right, John?
Maybe.
Like where a couple of pressure treated wood 2x4s.
Yeah,
one
it
on the
wasn't a
bottom,
panel.
one on
Yeah.
the top.
Yeah.
I think you call those a farmer's fence. But I'm no fence expert, so. But yes, what had happened was I initially put those in 7 years ago when we built the house to prevent any further activities in the back. Over the years, that wood had become decomposed and became very ugly looking. So a lot of it had already come down. I took some of it out just to have access to do the work that I needed to do now. I am planning on putting in probably more of a vinyl this time so that it's once and done.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously from what I understand, what we had in the order of conditions, the choice of fencing is really yours.
Right.
So, any the commissioners, Kent, you have any comments, or Dawn, Gail, or Indra, anything on this?
John or Eileen, has there ever been, have you seen this trash from the liquor store in the street? And if so, has there been any notices sent to them?
Yes and no. I've seen it, but no, I don't think we've never done anything about it.
Maybe we could,
One other thing
send something out to them.
Sorry, my apologies. One other thing I wanted to mention, and that is that there is a pipe of water, and I'm not, I'm sure it's a decent water. It's not a dirty water that's being dumped into the stream by the liquor store. I don't know if you just recently seen it, John. I put a little pipe on it just to cover it for now, but I would really, I don't know. I'll let you address that with the liquor store guy.
Okay.
Of course, if that's rooftop water, John, it should be relatively clean.
I suspect it's a sump pump.
It's a sump pump, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, this is Indra. John, you said that they are replacing the fencing. Is that the same length the existing fence was, or they are installing more than what it was?
So there'll be two fences now, one on either side of the brook, but the one on the house side will be the same length as originally approved.
Okay, and that's 10 feet out from the bank, except in a couple of places where around flags 20 and 21, it was actually a little less than that.
Right.
Okay. All right. How about Bill or Ed? Anything? Kent, anything?
Yes, this is Bill.
Okay.
I would like to commend Mr. Muller for his efforts in cleaning up that stream and, using his own financial resources to protect our natural resource by putting up that big fence. I'm sure it also, enhances your privacy, but it is going to protect that stream, and I think that's a very good thing you've done.
Thank you. I appreciate that, sir. And I think someone had asked about the trash. I've got plenty of pictures and videos to support it. So before the next meeting, I'd be happy to share that and send those over to you, John, if you like.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, I haven't heard anything else. So I don't see any outstanding issues on this. So you probably have a draft, and we seem to be in agreement that he will put back some fence of his choosing and a one close to the 10-foot line, and I think we're all in agreement. Could you put up the draft, please? Decision?
Okay, and I can start reading it while she's doing it. So the proposal was for it to install a vinyl fence along the bank.
John, let me ask, is there anyone in the audience for this? For 11 Ruthven Ave? I really need to remember to call on any abutters.
It's not a hearing, so you don't really need to, but.
Yeah, I like to do it anyway, in case anybody has something to say. Okay, please, sorry for the interruption.
No problem. So the jurisdictional areas buffer zone to bank and bordering vegetated wetlands. Other findings, the commission finds that most, if not all, of the cut vegetation along the stream bank was Japanese knotweed, so there was no impact to the stream. The decision is a proposed negative determination with conditions. Condition 2 is a requirement to, it's basically a reminder of DEP number 122-520, which required the other fence by perpetual condition. Then there's standard conditions about disposing of all the materials, no stockpiling, no tracking sediments, no filling or grading, standard conditions about dumping, pesticides, and the commission's right to access to do inspections.
Okay, any comments from anyone on the commission, Kent, or anyone else? Okay, one question, John. Did you happen to notice whether the original order was recorded at the Registry of Deeds?
I believe it was.
It was, and it has a certificate of compliance.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah.
Good, excellent. All right, could I have a motion to issue a negative conditional determination for the project as described, 11 Ruthven Ave?
Bill, so moved.
Okay, second?
Ed.
All right, Don, how do you vote?
Yes.
Gail?
Yes.
Indra?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
All right, chair votes yes. That's 6-0. Okay, Mr. Muller, thank you very much. Nice to see you again.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
John,
You
I'll
too.
follow up with you tomorrow. Thank you. Have a good night.
You too. Have a good night. Okay, next is 197 Mill Street. Douglas Griffin, clear, fill, and grade landscaping. Do we have a notice to read? You're getting faster, Eileen. Notice is given. The Town of Burlington Conservation Commission will hold a virtual public meeting, at which time we have a request for determination filed by Douglas A. Griffith. The commission will be taking information related to the proposed clearing, grading, landscaping activities within the 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetative wetlands located at 197 Mill Street. Will thereafter issue a determination. The application is being heard under the State Wetlands Protection Act and Burlington Bylaw Article 14. All right, Mr. Griffin, I can see you're online. Would you like
I'm on.
to make, would you welcome to make any comments you'd like?
Sure, I can just give a brief summary. So it's an extension of an expired permit from I think 5 years ago that I didn't end up completing the work at that time. And within that permit time frame, I didn't realize it expired. So now I'm looking to continue the work that was previously approved, and as well as some additional grass area as well, where some trees had to be taken down.
Okay, so John or Eileen, do you have any comments on this one?
Just to reiterate what he said, a determination was issued back in 2015. The work wasn't done at that time, so unfortunately, when he decided to restart some of the work now, it was noted, and we went out. There's floodplain at the back of the property and bordering vegetated wetland. And he had removed a couple of trees that weren't in the original determination. So we had him refile, and here we are now.
Okay, sounds like you don't have any issues the commission needs to be aware of.
I think other than was discussed when we went out on site, there was a concern that he was maybe moving back a bit closer to the wetland. So
Right.
I think that we would like to make sure that he doesn't, that he stays close to where the original bounds of the work were.
Yeah, we talked about that. All right. So Kent, Dawn, Gail, or Indra, anyone have a comment out of those four? All right. Bill, Ed, comments?
None for me.
All right. So John or Eileen, I thought that the only issue I saw is how far back this gentleman was going to grade and to the area in back. And I think if he marked it out and you had a pre-construction visit before he started, then wouldn't that solve the problem, or how would you like to handle it?
I think that sounds pretty good. I know that we verbally talked about a couple of spots, like there was a visible orange spot in the backyard. So I think that's a good idea. We can go out and meet with him to agree on definitive lines.
Yeah, I mean, if he just puts a couple of stakes in, with colored stakes, I think that could define it. And
Yeah, I think so.
you guys could shake your head, and if that's okay with John and Eileen, that's fine with me.
I think that works.
Since the commission had come out, I put the straw wattle, I think 125 feet of straw wattle down where, kind of where we agreed.
Approximately where we said. Okay, well,
Yeah.
we'll come and take a look at that, and we'll agree, or ask to move it a little.
And then the work can start, right? Yeah, after that. Okay, so Bill, did I call on you?
Yes, you did.
Okay. All right. So could I get is there anyone in the audience for this? This work is at 197 Mill Street. All right. I don't hear anybody. So Eileen, could you put up a draft negative conditional decision?
I will. I hope.
Okay.
Where'd it go? There we go. See, have it ready. So as we said, the applicant is proposing to add fill and loam and do minor grading in an existing grass lawn area and a vegetated area beyond the lawn. The project would also include installation of an irrigation system. I'm sorry, we actually forgot to mention that. He would like to put an irrigation system in while he's working. Conservation staff were made aware that work was ongoing at the property, conducted a site visit, and required the applicant to file a request for determination of applicability. A determination that had previously been issued for the work in 2015 had expired. The proposed work would be within the 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetlands and bank, and near bordering land subject to flooding. The work is conditioned below will be at least 50 feet from the bordering vegetated wetlands. Then there were some other findings that were largely in the previous determination, so we left them in here again because we sort of want them to be immortalized about the fact that the floodplain, about the extent of the floodplain mapping, and the fact that there's a mapped flood elevation of 126, and how the elevation in a topographic plan compiled by Metcalf and Eddy in 1976 roughly corresponds with the floodplain. Staff estimates that the distance to the floodplain is approximately 85 feet from the rear of the house at its closest point. Fill and structures are not permitted in bordering lands subject to flooding without compensatory flood storage. So he's got to stay out of the of a location, any locations with an elevation of 126 or lower. Commission is voting to issue a negative determination of applicability with conditions as noted here. This decision is for the addition of fill and loam and minor grading in an existing grass lawn area only and no other work. The limit of the fill shall be no further than 55 feet from the rear line of the house on the eastern side, angling to no further than 75 feet from the rear line of the house on the western side of the property. Fill may only be placed in existing lawn areas and only a maximum depth of 6 inches of fill is permitted. As an alternative to fill, portions of the existing lawn may be excavated and this soil used to regrade, provided elevations do not change more than 12 inches. Addition of fill should not direct additional runoff to abutting properties. The applicant shall notify the Conservation Department when grading is complete, but before the seeding of the new lawn area, so that an inspection may be done to ensure that the limits of grading are as permitted. This next one is highlighted just because I didn't remember whether there was a PVC fence there. It was permitted in the original determination, and I believe the applicant would like us to leave this in so that he has the option of putting a fence back in the future. And we should have mentioned that earlier, but I forgot. We can talk about that after I finish reading. Staked straw wattles shall be used as a sediment barrier, and apparently they're already in place, so conservation staff will go and inspect that. Any grading shall be minimal in nature and shall maintain on all existing drainage patterns, and grading shall not increase runoff to abutting properties, and all fill or loam shall be clean. So I think that what he had out there, he's going to have to go through and clean out some of that. Any disturbed areas shall be stabilized immediately. A permit from the Board of Health may be required. No stockpiling of material within 30 feet of the wetland, and no additional cutting of trees. And the others are a standard about no debris to be dropped in the wetlands.
Okay, so Mr. Griffith, this is pretty standard stuff. You've seen a lot of it because you had the other previous order.
Yep.
So, yeah, but do you have any questions though at this point?
No, I'm good. When the commission came out, they explained everything, and I think we're on the same page.
Yes, I think we are. Okay, so anyone on the commission have anything further on this one?
This is Bill, no.
Okay, all right, so I didn't hear anything else, so could I have a motion to issue a negative conditional determination for 197 Mill Street to Mr. Douglas Griffith for clearing, filling, and grading and landscaping?
So moved, Ed.
Doug, second.
All right, how do you vote, Don?
Yes.
Gail?
I'm abstaining.
Indra?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. 501 is the count. It passes. All right, Mr. Griffith, good luck with your project, getting it all fixed up.
Great, thank you.
All right, you have a good evening. Thanks for
Good
joining
night.
us. Good night. Next, want to put up the notice for 4 Meadowvale Road.
I do. I'm not quite ready for that one.
All right. Well, I'll just stare at your picture until you are ready. How's that?
Okay. Yep, that's fine. Okay, which one do we need?
This is 4 Meadowvale.
Yep, got it. It just has to open. Okay.
Okay, notice is given. The commission will hold a virtual public meeting, during which time a request for determination of applicability was filed by Ms. Bonnie Baker. The commission will be taking information related to the proposed removal of trees within the 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetative wetlands located at 4 Meadowvale Road. Okay, the application is being heard pursuant to the State Wetlands Protection Act and Burlington Bylaw Article 14. All right, Ms. Baker, are you perhaps online?
There is a chance that they're not, because remember we talked to this lady yesterday. She was a little bit concerned about just the logistics of getting online. So
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
I actually see that she's there, but she's muted.
Oh,
So,
is it Megan or?
Ms. Baker, can you hear us?
Yep.
All right, nice of you to join us. All right, do you have anything you want to say? I mean, I think your request is pretty clear, but you're welcome to say anything you'd like.
No, I'm all set.
That was brief. Okay, all right, so Eileen, tell me if this is incorrect. There's 3 trees that have been requested to be removed. One is claimed to have an emerald ash borer disease, which seems true. The second one is a maple tree that had evidence of insect activity, she writes. And the third one is an oak tree that has a frost crack and was leaning pretty badly. Do you agree with all that?
Yes, that is true. We got a pretty detailed note from the arborist explaining those. There were a couple of other trees that she would have liked to have taken down, but the arborist said that they were in pretty good shape. So she just went with the 3, and I think that everybody was in agreement that they're in pretty bad shape. And the oak has a significant lean towards her neighbor's yard.
Right. All right, does anyone on the commission or our associate commissioner have any questions about this particular project that you disagree? All right, is there anyone in the audience about this? This is for 4 Meadowville Road. All right, so could we have you put up the draft decision? Looks like we would just approve it with a few conditions.
Yes, I think I can. Oh, I thought it was good to go. It is. It is. Okay, so applicant proposed to cut 3 trees in the buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetlands, leaving the stumps in place. RDA was filed on July 30th, and the applicant provided a letter from a certified arborist confirming the trees were in decline and 2 pose a threat. Work was located within the 100-foot buffer zone to BVW. The commission is not making no finding as to the exact boundaries of the wetland resource on site. Commission will be voting for to issue a negative determination of applicability. This work is only for the project as described. If any other tree removals are being considered, then the applicant should come back to the Commission or Conservation Administrator and may require submission of a written assessment. For tree trimmings that are not, or removals that are not feasible to do by hand, machinery such as a bucket truck or crane shall be located in the driveway or existing lawn areas. The stump of the tree in the wooded area behind the house, I think I meant the oak by that one, shall not be removed without additional approval from the Commission or Conservation Administrator. The applicant is encouraged to leave snags where feasible for wildlife habitat. This was highlighted because I wasn't sure if we were going to propose replanting any native trees within the wetland buffer zone. I got the impression that the Commission weren't going to require that, in which case I can take this one out in the morning. No dumping of sediment in the wetlands, and pesticides, herbicides, and fungicides should not be used within 100 feet of a wetland.
Yeah, I didn't hear anybody at the site visit express that they thought it was needed for mitigation. There was quite a few trees already there.
If you guys are in agreement, then I could take out that that commission.
Anyone feel differently? Who was there?
I agree, Larry. This is Bill.
Okay, I agree too. Ed, okay, so we're all set. Okay, so you can take it out, Eileen. So,
yep.
Ms. Baker, do you have any questions? These are pretty routine conditions.
I have to leave the stumps.
I think I had oh, sorry. Go ahead, Larry, and you speak to her.
I was just going to say, in this particular circumstance, I'm not sure there was any value to leaving the stumps. The ash tree has a disease. The insects are in the base already of the other one. If she wants to remove the stumps, I see no issue on this one myself.
I think we had suggested leaving the snag in the one way back in the woods, just because it seemed like it was difficult to get to. But I mean, I'm open to that one.
Well, the only one I'm concerned with is the ash tree.
Yeah, I see no issue with grinding a stump down that's part of an infected tree myself.
And that's the only one that's within the lawn, right?
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's fine.
So just for the ash tree?
Just the ash.
Okay.
I think if she wants to do more, I think we should leave it to the discretion of discussion with the between you and her at the time, because frankly, the other tree had insect damage at the base of it.
It did.
So,
Okay.
so I see no issue with letting her grind it if she wants, leave it optional, and maybe it's the easiest way.
I said, I agree. Yeah.
All right, so could we reviewed the decision. Could I have a motion to issue a negative conditional determination for 4 Meadowville Road to approve the removal of 3 trees? Is there such a motion?
So moved, Ed.
Second.
Second, Indra.
All right, Don, how do you vote?
Yes.
Gail?
Yes.
Indra?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, 6-0-0. All right, Miss Baker, you're all set. You'll get some paperwork, and good luck with your tree removal.
Thank you.
All right, thanks for tuning in. Okay, next on the agenda, 12 Douglas Road. You have the notice, Eileen?
Just pulling it up now.
Thank you. Oh, that's fast.
Oh, no, where's it gone? I had it ready. Now I've lost it. I think it's here. There it is. Okay. Am I sharing?
Hello?
Hello?
I do not see it shared.
Oh,
Oh, hi. This
really?
is Joe Denisi.
Hello?
Hello, hello. Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear somebody saying hello.
This is the applicant, Joe Denisi.
Yes, this is Joe. Yeah, this is Joe Denisi.
All right, good. Thank you for joining us, Joe.
Sure,
So
did I just...
Hi, how you doing?
Good. I'm going to read the notice, and then we'll give you are welcome to make a few comments after that.
All right, great.
Okay, now I can't find the notice.
Okay, well, I can read it. So notice is
Okay.
given that Burlington Conservation Commission will hold a virtual public meeting on Thursday, October 13th, at which time a request of determination of applicability filed by Joseph Denisi will be acted upon by the Conservation Commission. The commission will take all information relating to a proposed filling and grading activities within the 100-foot buffer zone to stream bank and bordering vegetated wetlands at 12 Douglas Avenue in Burlington, and will thereafter issue a determination of applicability. The application is being heard pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, Wetlands Protection Act, and Burlington Bylaw, Article 14. To obtain a copy of the application, please email conservation@burlington.org.
All right, thank you. So, Mr. Denisi, would you like to say anything at all? You're welcome to or not.
Yes, you guys came out the other day, and I think you know what I'm trying to do, and I'm trying to bring back my yard to life, and I want to make it a nice, gentle grade down to the downwards. So, yeah, like I said before, when I moved in, it was a mess. My neighbors weren't happy, but now they're very happy with the work I've done so far, and I would like just to continue and make the yard look nice and bring it back to life.
All right, thank you. Good summary. Eileen or John, comments on this one?
Somebody alerted us to the fact that work was ongoing and questioned, hey, is there a wetland back there? So I did send him a letter, and I went out on site and realized that there was wetland and an intermittent stream at the back of his property. He didn't realize that this was an issue for us. He stopped the work. He filed a request for determination of applicability. We all, well, not all of us, several of you went out to the site last week and realized indeed there's wetland. There were some log piles pretty close to the wetland, and he was initially proposing to do work right up to the intermittent stream. What had happened was, from my understanding, is that there was kind of a mounded area in the back of his yard, and he just wanted to sort of cut that down and redistribute across the yard so as to make it more of a gentle slope.
Okay,
Yeah.
do you have any issues with what he's proposing?
We don't. However, we have added some conditions into a draft determination just to ensure that he stays outside the 20-foot no disturb zone and proposing a fence.
Right, okay. All right, so Kent, Dawn, Gail, or Indra, any comments? Bill or Ed, any comments?
Ed?
All right, is there any comments from anyone in the audience? This is for a project at 12 Douglas Ave. None. Okay, so would you put up the draft, Eileen, and let's just review
Sure,
it? Oh,
I will. Oh, what just happened? There we go. Here we go. Here's the draft. Come on, get bigger. All right. So while I'm waiting for it to fill out, the applicant proposed to regrade the grade at the backyard by removing a mounded area approximately 50 feet behind the house and redistributing that soil across the rest of the yard to achieve a gentler slope between the house and a line approximately 85 feet for the back of the house. He also proposed to remove 2 trees. As I explained, we determined work had been ongoing. He halted the project and he filed with the commission. The work was within the 200-foot riverfront of a locally regulated unnamed stream. Work had extended to the bank of the intermittent stream, and work was also within the 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetlands. The commission makes no finding as to the exact boundaries of the wetland resource, but is proposing to issue a negative determination of applicability with conditions. The project is only for the decision is only for the project as described above. Any fill that has been added within 20 feet of the stream or wetland shall be removed, and grading shall occur only outside that 20-foot no disturb zone. The grade shall still slope down towards the stream. Brush and firewood that's stacked in the no disturb zone shall be moved out of that area or removed from the property. A fence shall be installed 20 feet from the BBW line across the rear of the lot. Actual location of the fence shall be coordinated with Conservation Department staff. The new fence shall not have gates, and the area behind that demarcation fence shall then be left as naturally vegetated and shall not be maintained as lawn or landscaped area. Sediment barriers shall be installed as and inspected by conservation staff, and we can tell him where to put that too. All construction, demolition materials, and excavated soil should be disposed of off-site in a legal manner. No stockpiling of soil or other materials within 50 feet of wetlands, and no tracking of sediments onto roadways. And the project shall not increase the rate or volume of runoff to the property of others. It shall be incumbent upon the applicant to ensure compliance with this condition. The project applicant shall be solely liable for any damage to other properties as a result of this construction. And as Mr. Denise probably heard before, no dumping in the wetlands, and pesticides, herbicides, fungicides should not be used within 100 feet of wetland.
all right. Mr. Denise, any questions at this point?
No, this all sounds good. This is what we're trying to do. So
Right. If you have questions, don't hesitate to call the office.
great.
All right,
Thank you
so
guys. Yep, appreciate
no
it.
problem. So wait, we got to vote though, but
Sure.
a motion to issue, if there's nothing further from anyone online, a motion to issue a negative conditional determination for the project at 12 Douglas Ave.
So move, Bill.
Jack, second.
Second, Ed?
All right, Don, how do you vote?
Yes.
Gail?
Yes.
Linda?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, 6-0-0. Mr. Denise, good luck with your project.
Good. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
All right, have a good night.
You too. Bye-bye.
Thank you, bye-bye. Eileen, we have 28 Randolph Road. We need the notice again.
Okay, I can start reading it to speed things up. Notice is hereby given that the Town of Burlington Conservation Commission will hold a virtual public meeting on Thursday, August 13th, 2020 at 7 p.m., at which time a request for determination filed by Greg and Kim Zweig will be acted upon by the Conservation Commission. The Commission will take all information related to the proposed removal of trees within the 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetlands at 28 Randolph Road in Burlington, Mass., and will thereafter issue a determination of applicability. The application is being heard pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and Burlington Bylaw, Article 14. To obtain a copy of this application, email conservation@burlington.org.
Okay, Mr. or Mrs. Zweig, one of you online, please.
We're here.
All right. Would you like to say something?
I think that we discussed this when the commission visited the site, so I think you understand the scope of what we're trying to accomplish.
Right, okay, and it was very clear what you wanted to do. Okay, so Eileen or John, any comments? There's like, I think it's 7 trees, I think is. what's
It is
being-
7, yep, 7 trees, 3 of them in the wetlands and 4 in the buffer zone. I don't think any of the commissioners had issues with any of the trees.
It should be noted that at the website, we observed that there was substantial shade already, and Mr. Zweig and Mrs. Zweig had very good reasons for why they wanted the trees removed. Did anyone else agree or disagree?
Agreed.
Okay,
Agree, Bill.
okay. All right, any other comments from anyone? Kent, anything on this one?
Nope.
Okay. All right, anyone in the audience for this at all? Nope. Go on, why don't you put up a negative conditional determination for us to consider and vote on then?
So the project description is, you just discussed 7 trees. Proposed work is within wetlands or buffer zone, wetlands and buffer zone. For the purposes of this filing, the commission's making no determination as to the actual wetland boundaries. Although it should be noted they were flagged previously when this house was constructed. The proposed decision is a negative determination with conditions. Condition 1 is that only the work proposed in the project description is permitted. Condition 2 says the applicant may proceed with tree removal. Any other additional tree removals would require additional Conservation Commission approval. There's a condition 3 is saying what can't be done by hand, machinery or bucket truck shall stay in the driveway or existing lawn areas, not into the wetlands. So condition 4, we discussed on site about proposing to leave some snags if possible, particularly the trees that are in the wetland. Not necessarily, there was one that was on the lawn in the backyard that certainly can take that right all the way down, but we're asking for some consideration for leaving some wildlife habitat because the trees are in the wetland. And then standard conditions about dumping in the wetlands, pesticides, whatnot. I think the site looked really good. It's been a few years since that project was permitted. There's certainly been no encroachment or anything like that on the site. So no issues.
All right, anything further from the commission? Can I have a motion to issue therefore a negative conditional determination for the project as described at 28 Randolph Road?
So moved, Don.
Second, Indra.
All right, Don, how do you vote?
Yes.
Gail?
Yes.
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, that carries 6-0. All right, Mr. Zweig and Mrs. Zweig, good luck with your project, sir.
Thank you. Thanks for your help.
Thank you.
No problem. Thanks for applying and good luck. Take care.
Hey, Larry, we neglected to mention, we should have announced about the continuances of Randolph Road. We probably should have done that earlier, but.
Oh, yes. No, not Randolph, Redmond.
Redmond, sorry, Redmond.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. If anyone is here for number 4 and 5, Redmond Road and the subdivision that's proposed, those items have been continued. You have my apologies for not mentioning it earlier if anyone is online or watching. All right. Next, we have a continued public hearing, 3 Marjorie Road, proposed by an in-ground pool project proposed by Mr. and Mrs. Imlach. Okay, are you folks online?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, would you like to say anything further?
No, I got the notice of intent. I got the order today from you guys and read through it. Seems pretty straightforward. Everything you guys talked about on site.
All right, John and Eileen, is there anything further in this project?
No, I don't think so. I think everybody is fairly satisfied with the project as described. There is a channel at the back of the property, as everybody knows, that was flagged. There is proposal to remove some invasive shrubs within the 20-foot no disturb zone, and they're also proposing to move the shed out of the 20-foot no disturb zone to the 40-foot line. And some of the actual pool deck, I think, will be within the 40-foot, as if I recall correctly. But I think that everybody was fairly satisfied with the work as proposed.
Does this require a motion for a waiver because of food?
Yes. Yes, it will.
All right, so anyone in the commission have comments? Anything further on this one?
Zed, no comment.
All right, so this is a hearing. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to offer some comments? I have questions for the project at 3 Marjorie Road. All right, no one's in the audience. All right, so could you put up a draft permit, please?
Yep, I will. I think I have it ready to go.
So briefly review them, please.
Yes, of course. I'll start with the, no, actually, I'll start with the order since it's right in front of me. Can everybody see this okay? Because I know you can all see my formatting and everything. Okay, so it starts off, well, I'm just going to go through this pretty quickly, blaze through it. The plan references are up here. In fact, they did the stormwater analysis as well for the pool. So that was good. This order permits work within the 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetlands, and no other work within the wetland resource area has been permitted by this decision. Most of these initial conditions are very standard. The commission shall receive written notice by the applicant a few days before commencement of any activity on site. Prior to commencing work on site, the proposed limit of work as defined by the plans shall be clearly marked, and the applicant shall meet with the conservation staff to review the order of conditions on site, and at that time we'll also establish that the order has been filed at the Registry of Deeds, and we'll look for the DEP number and a few other things. At that time or before that, we will also expect that erosion control shall be installed along the erosion control line as shown on the reference plan, shall be installed by hand and shall be inspected and approved by the conservation administrator. Materials shall not be stockpiled on the site within 40 feet of the wetlands. Any fill shall be kept in certain hay bales and covered. No dewatering shall be permitted on the site. At the end of each workday, sweep the roadway. The Burlington Conservation Commission reserves the right to require additional erosion controls or damage prevention if deemed necessary. No additional grading beyond what's shown in the plan shall be permitted. Many of these next ones are standard, but a couple are noted in perpetuity, like anything that falls into the wetlands shall be removed, and that includes lawn clippings or other materials. All these standards have refueling and storage of fuel on site, no pesticides, fungicides to use within 1 feet of the wetlands. That will also be noted on their certificate of compliance in perpetuity. Runoff from the public patio shall be managed as shown on approved plans, and the applicant shall submit an operations and maintenance plan for the infiltration unit. Responsibility for the maintenance of these structures is with the property owner and any future property owners. This condition shall be noted in the certificate of compliance as existing in perpetuity. A new fence shall be installed 20 feet from the BVW line across the rear of the lot. The new fence shall not have gates, and this demarcation shall be maintained in perpetuity and noted on the certificate of compliance. Invasive shrubs shall be removed from the buffer zone as proposed, some within the 20-foot no disturb area, and one unhealthy pine shall be removed from the buffer zone. The areas behind the demarcation fence shall then be left as naturally vegetated and shall not be maintained as lawn or landscaped area. And this condition shall also be noted on their certificate of compliance as existing in perpetuity. 3 native trees will be planted on the property, 2 oak and 1 maple along the southeastern lot line within the buffer zone. And the rest is just some standard conditions about how to go about getting your certificate of occupancy. So that was the, oh, where'd it go? That was the order of Now I've just lost it again. Of conditions. I had this open already. We'll just open it again. So this one is the bylaw decision. When it opens, again, it's for the same project description, filed for construction of an in-ground pool, patio, fencing, deck, and stairs at an existing single-family residence, and also installation of a swale and water infiltration system and the removal of fire management and species. Somebody's being louder than me on this. Went through the filing history, the site plans again, some information about the wetland resource areas, the fact that they provide these various functions. It's exempt from the stormwater management regulations because it's a single-family home, but the applicant has proposed to infiltrate the pool and patio runoff into a subsurface infiltration system, and this will also serve as a permit under the Burlington's Erosion and Sedimentation Control Bylaw. And at the end, we are proposing a cash performance guarantee in the amount of $2,500 for this project.
Okay, so, Mr. and Mrs. Umbach, do you have any questions at this point? You can always certainly contact the office if you have questions after the fact. Anyway.
No, I think we're all set. We understand it.
All right, so you should probably, review it just to make sure if you have any questions when you have a chance. All right, so is there any comments from the commission on this one?
Comment.
All right, so the first thing we need to do is close the hearing. Can I have a motion to close the hearing for 3 Moultrie Road?
So moved, Indra.
Second,
Second, Bill.
Dawn, how do you vote?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Ed, chair votes yes, 600. The hearing's closed. Could I have a motion to allow some encroachment into the no-build zone for the pool deck, which is within closer than 40 feet according to our regulations?
So moved, Ed.
Is there a waiver? Motion.
So moved, Ed.
Second. All right. Any discussion? Dawn, how do you vote? Yep.
Yes.
Indra?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Ed?
Yep.
Chair votes yes, that carries 600. Next, could I have a motion to adopt the findings under Burlington Bylaw Article 14 as read and discussed? Is there a
So moved, Indra.
second?
Second, Ed.
Okay, how do you vote, Dawn?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Indra?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, 600. Findings are approved under Burlington Bylaw Article 14. Could I have a motion to approve the permit conditions as discussed under Burlington Bylaw Article 14 and the State Wetlands Protection Act for 3 Marjorie Road, DEP file number 122-647?
So moved.
Ed.
Second?
Second, Bill.
Okay, Dawn, how do you vote?
Yes.
Yes.
Indra?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, 600 is the vote. The permit is approved. Could I have a motion to require a cash performance guarantee of $2,500 requested under Burlington Bylaw Article 14 for the project at 3 Marjorie Road, DEP file number 122-647?
So moved, Indra.
Okay, second.
Gail.
Any discussion? All right, Don, how do you vote?
Yes.
Gail,
Yes.
Indra,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, 600. Request for performance guarantee is approved. Mr. and Mrs. Imlach, good luck with your pool project.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you for tuning in tonight.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. All right, next, we have a continued public hearing under only Burlington Wetlands Bylaw, 127 Bedford Street, Kong K Tang and Vanden Lay for grading, landscaping, driveway extension, buffer zone restoration. Okay, so are someone here for that?
Yes, I'm here for that. This is Maureen Harold, Norse Environmental.
Hi there, nice to see you or hear from you. Would you like to make any comments before we get started?
Just that at the last hearing, the commission requested 3 additional tree plantings on the plan. And that is shown on the plan. I submit the revisal to you 2 weeks ago.
Right, okay. Very good, thank you.
Sure.
All right, John or Eileen, is there any outstanding issues at this point? This has been around for a while now, a few times.
It has been around since January, so I think it's ready to wrap up. I think the commission's got the plan they wanted. The additional trees were actually at the rear of the property, sort of along the property boundary at the back. I think it's ready to close and issue a decision.
All right, John, do we need to specify the size of trees at all in this? Or what's reasonable? What's a reasonable minimum? Usually it's diameter of the trunk or something I don't know. Maureen, do you have a suggestion perhaps?
So on the plan, there's a table and the trees are shown to be 3 to 4 feet in height.
Okay. John, is that standard or substandard or Eileen, how do you feel?
They were red maples, Maureen. I can't remember. Are they red maples?
Yes, there's red maples.
Yeah, they're fast growing. That's fine. I mean, the larger the tree, the more the transplant shock, and a 3 or 4 foot tree will catch up to an 8-foot tree in no time. So that's fine.
Particularly if it's fertilized annually, probably. Okay. Any questions by the commission or the associate commissioner, Kent? Any questions on this one?
I have one. This is Bill. The original drawing, the fence that was demarcating the protection of the wetland corner, it wasn't going to the property line. Does the final drawing show that going to the property line?
Yes, it does.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right, anyone else? All right, this is a hearing, so I'd like to ask, is there anyone in the audience that would like to make any further comments? Please give your name and start talking.
Hi, this is Bob Brady on 13 Pleasant.
Sure, hi, Bob.
Hi, how you doing?
All right, I'm doing a lot of talking tonight.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I had sent, John, I had sent you a couple of different things today. I don't know if you received them. I'm actually on vacation right now, so, and I have terrible service down here.
I did distribute them to the Conservation Commission.
Okay, great.
So-
So my main concern is just the fact that how all of a sudden we became, on trial after being the victim of the water problem that we were getting. So I don't know what they're proposing as far as if that's going to help us on our end. Does anyone know that?
All right, so Maureen, would you like to make some comments on things which will help mitigate the water, maybe not cure the problem entirely?
Well, we're planting a substantial amount of trees and shrubs. The wetland itself has bounced back significantly since the original cutting. The commission has gone out there. I'm sure you saw the cattails coming up. We're providing infiltration for the driveway for, more so for the Callahans, but it will also help with some of the water problems. We extended up the existing driveway, and we also extended it down towards the wetland boundary as well. And at the last hearing, the Brady's asked for more trees. So we put more trees on the plan.
All right, Maureen, thank you for that summary. Okay, so it's not going to totally absorb all the water, but it certainly will. The more the wetlands become vibrant, they slow the water down and hold water. So that wetlands in some regards are very good for that purpose. Whenever you remove wetlands, then what happens is the water can flow more freely and you end up getting flooding further downstream is what happens. So the fact that the wetlands have been reinstated is actually good news from your perspective.
Okay. All right. That sounds good.
Okay. Okay. So I guess we have some draft decisions to consider.
Okay. So do you want to, before we go through that, do you want to, so the next agenda item is to discuss the 13 Pleasant while he's here before Mr. Brady leaves. You want to just discuss that at the same time, Larry?
I'm willing to do that if he wants to just consider that as well. At this
time. Sure. Yeah, that's fine.
All right. So, John, would you like to introduce it or would you like me to?
Well, so Mr. Brady sent a couple of emails today, which I forwarded to the commission. One was a movie. I don't know if any of you could see. And the second one was sort of a sketch of a proposed swale from the fence, the property line between 127 Bedford and 13 Pleasant, which would go around the sport court and then direct the water to the catch basin, which is obviously what that catch basin was installed originally for. And over the years, for some reason, the water was prevented from getting there. And so this would restore it, which would benefit everybody's property. This way, there'll be less water on the wetland on 127 Bedford, less water on 125 Bedford. The sport court won't flood because the water will then go around and into the catch basin. So, I mean, I think this should resolve everybody's problem if done correctly.
Mr. Brady, do you have comments on that? I mean, you proposed this, so I don't suspect you'll object.
Right. Yeah. Right. I mean, honestly, at this point, I just want it to go away. So yeah, I mean, what I proposed is to kind of just divert the water out of our yard into the catch basin and just make it go away for everybody. It wasn't the most ideal thing for me. I would have rathered it be from somewhere else, but if that's what I need to do, I just want the approval to be able to do that at this point, really. That's all I'm looking for.
Well, it's kind of the obvious, most simple solution because you have the catch basin that was constructed many years ago. So what you're proposing is very obvious. And there is, I mean, honestly, the commission, they're not proposing this, but there is some evidence that there was wetlands, at least in part of where the sport court is, and nobody's talking about you dismantling the sport court. This is a much easier solution for you.
Yeah, which is that's why I proposed it. And again, I think it would help everybody in the long run. So I think, that's where I'm coming from, just to kind of make this whole thing just go away.
Exactly. I like that way of thinking.
Sure. Yeah, totally.
All right. So, John, what Mr. Brady proposed as a sketch, is that acceptable as well to you?
Yeah, that is. So, I mean, I think you can just direct him to do it. This is essentially a friendly enforcement order without, an actual piece of paper. So you could give him permission tonight to proceed.
Right. Okay. So let's take care of 127 and then just finish that one up too. So if you hang on just for a few minutes, Mr. Brady, we'll wrap both things up.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Okay. So
you want to go through the draft decision?
Please do.
Okay. Eileen, if you can put it up, I can start reading it though. So The findings include the hearing dates, which, so once again, it started in January. There were several meetings, several of which there was no testimony, and there were a couple that were canceled, but it has been going on since January. The findings: the proposed project consists of the grading of the backyard, building a retaining wall, infiltration trench, swale, and expansion of the existing driveway. And restoration work following the unauthorized cutting of trees in the buffer zone up to an isolated wetland. Proposed work is within the buffer zone to an isolated wetland pursuant to Burlington Bylaw Article 14. Then there's the filing history. The plan references, which have been updated with the most recent plan dated July 15th. Wetland values in the area subject to protection. The work was in within isolated wetland and buffer zone. Once again, so it's just regulated under the Burlington Bylaw only, not the Wetlands Protection Act. Wetland scientist Marine Herald of Norse Environmental Services researched the history of the area and found that a stream that historically flowed through the area was filled when the subdivision was constructed decades ago. A drainage system was installed at the time to drain the water southerly from Bedford Street to Pleasant Street and beyond. Recent activities at 13 Pleasant have disrupted the flow, causing additional ponding of water at 125 and 127 Bedford Street. Stormwater management, basically it's an exempt activity. Findings regarding the wetland violation and restoration: the commission required that 10 native trees and 14 native shrubs be planted as wetland area restoration and mitigation for the trees cut in 2017. Actually, I don't know if that needs to be updated. That might be 13 trees now. I'll check on that. Other findings: this permit under the Wetlands the Burlington Wetland Bylaw also serves as the erosion and sedimentation control permit. And there's just standard findings after that. Onto the decision. Proposed order of or bylaw conditions. Condition 1 is that referencing the plan, and that basically any other work beyond what's approved in that plan would need a new filing, essentially. Condition 2 is that this document has to be provided with all contractors and subcontractors. And let's see, 3 is 3 and 4 are fairly standard conditions. They're all fairly administrative. Pre-construction conditions, once again, standard conditions. The applicant was provided with a copy of this today, I believe, right, Eileen? So, and Maureen was, yeah.
Yes.
So these are all standard. I don't know if Maureen's had a chance to read through them. Have you?
Yes, I read through them, and as John said, it's pretty standard.
Yeah, so I won't go through all the conditions that are in every decision. So skipping ahead to the wetland and buffer zone conditions, 24 specifies the number of trees and shrubs to be planted. Once again, I'll check on, I can't remember if the 10 includes the most recent 3, so I'll check on that. The wetland shall be left otherwise natural in perpetuity. This condition shall be noted on the certificate of compliance as existing in perpetuity. No additional alteration of native vegetation within the buffer zone to the identified wetland beyond the approved limit of work is permitted under this decision. A sign shall be installed at the southern end of the property on the edge of the wetland indicating the proximity to the wetland area. Condition 8 is a requirement for surety of $2,500, so the project is done and the commission signs off on it. And standard conditions about the non-compliance and the process for obtaining final sign-off from the commission on a certificate of compliance.
All right, Kent, Dawn, Gail, or Indra, anyone have any comments on those four?
Nope.
Right, Bill, Ed,
Nope.
any comments?
No comments.
I have a few comments. The
Okay.
video was impressive. The video that you sent was impressive, Mr. Brady. The amount of water that was flowing through there, it clearly...
It was a lot, yes.
Yeah, and it clearly illustrated the path of the drainage easement as originally designed, going diagonally across your property from that corner to the catch basin. Somehow that drainage easement was no longer functioning, but as the flow that you showed in that video, there's no way putting a sports court in the middle of that was not going to cause a further dam and to be underwater itself. So we obviously do need to direct the water around that. The trees that are being planted, the extra trees and all the planting going in are clearly going to take up some of that water and evaporate it and hold some of it. Any wetland area that revegetates acts as a sponge and is going to hold some of that water and prevent it from flowing. So all of those should help your situation. One question I have is the swale that you envision putting in. What is going to be in the swale? Is that also going to be some crushed stone? Or, how are you going to?
Correct, yes. It would be crushed stone, yes. It would be whatever would help that whole, I mean, I'm not an engineer when it comes to that stuff, but yes, of course, crushed stone, whether it's perforated pipe to direct it right to there,
Ideally,
whatever
I
the
think
case
that
may
would
be.
help. I think
I think I would rather do a perforated pipe dug down with crushed stone and
Exactly.
head it right there. I think it will help everybody in the long run.
Right.
You just have to make sure of the grading, Mr. Brady, so make sure it flows.
Of course.
Right.
Of course,
The
yes.
perforated pipe itself, even in a low grade, will hold some of the water and sort of allow it to infiltrate in the ground without being on the surface. So, okay.
Correct, yes.
All right, so is there anything else on this decision? Okay, anyone on the audience, further from the audience, wants to comment?
May I? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's Carrie Callahan at 125 Bedford. I just wanted to say thank you, everybody, for all your work, because I know this has been an ongoing situation for 8 months now. So I just appreciate everybody hearing us out and listening to our concerns, and hopefully this is the beginning of it being cleared.
Well, this project and the Bradys are stepping up to the plate to help resolve the whole problem in the area. Hopefully you'll see some improvement, and the other two properties will as well.
I have a question as well. This is Maureen Harold, North Environmental. So the Bradys started the proposal with the swale, and now I hear we're doing a pipe. Is that the procedure that you're going to take care of this water?
Is that toward me?
Yes. Well, yes.
Sure. No. I mean, if it was up to me, that's my preferred method. Yes, of course, because I think that's the best way to do it.
I think a swale would be better. I think a swale would be better. It'd be much easier to inspect and to maintain.
And that was my follow-up question, was that obviously an engineer did not design this. And, it's the preference of Mr. Brady to do a swale. It would be nice to know how deep the swale is going to be. I hear it's going to be crushed stone. I want to resolve this just as much as everybody else, but I also want to ensure that it's installed correctly and it does what it's supposed to do. So I'm requesting the commission to follow up on that, if possible.
Yes, I understand your point, Maureen. So, John, haven't got there yet, but I think what I was going to suggest was that you are correct that this would be a friendly enforcement, and the commission would agree on the parameters of the next item. And I thought whatever was agreed to, that we would send what is fondly known as a friendly enforcement letter. In other words, it just restates what Mr. Brady has said he's going to do and has agreed to do, and it's issued as an enforcement order, but all parties agree. How does that sound, John?
That's fine.
Larry, Bill, can the letter also say that we have the right to come in and, when it's completed, to inspect it and make sure it's satisfactory?
Well, we'll talk about that in just a minute. There's a few details like that, what we want in the letter. So
okay.
That's a good point. All right. So if there's nothing further, is there someone else speaking?
No, I mean, I'm still here, Bob Brady, but I just find it funny that Maureen is still pushing back on me where the water is coming from her property onto mine, and I'm willing to get rid of it for her and for 125, and she's still coming toward me as if she wants inspections and this and that. It's like, you should be the one handling this. It should be on her. I'm willing
Mr.
to do it,
Chairman,
she's still coming at me.
I would really like to address that comment if possible.
Okay, briefly.
So there was a drainage swale that got filled in on Mr. Brady's property. That has nothing to do with my client. The water stopped flowing and is ponding on my property because that drainage swale got filled in. And they put in a sports court after the fact. All I'm requesting of the commission, because you're not requiring Mr. Brady to hire a surveyor or an engineer to design a swale or a pipe, to just verify that this swale is operating as intended. That's
So clearly,
a reasonable
Maureen,
request, Mr. Chairman.
so clearly Maureen hadn't seen the video that I sent earlier today
You
from
didn't send it to
2018.
me. You didn't send it to me, Mr. Brady, nor did the
2018.
commission.
Excuse me, this is Gail. Larry, can you kind of like have one person, call on people to talk? So it's like a.
Sure, I'd be happy. All right, Mr. Brady, you want to speak?
I would love to, yeah. So I sent a video from 2018, which was a year and a half before a sports court was even thought up in my mind. And the water that was flowing through was absurd, which you guys all saw. Apparently, Maureen has not seen that. It went into my neighbor's yard, who's been here for 60 years. She still asks me, what is going on with that water in the backyard? She feels terrible for me. And I am willing just to make it go away. So why I'm getting a pushback on me is just, it's mind blowing, to be honest. And it's frustrating. That's all it is.
Mr. Brady, I wouldn't turn, honestly, and I'm not trying to argue with you. We're not, I don't think what Maureen is suggesting is really pushback. Let me just state it this way. The commission has an interest in that it works correctly as you want it to. You have an interest and the neighbors in the area. So just hold off on the discussion and we'll get some comments from John and Eileen of what may be needed. Basically, I've heard that they accept the concept in the sketch, basically the content, the concept of what you proposed. So hold off your comments. We'll just talk to you directly on it. Okay.
Okay, sounds good.
But let's just suffice it to say the commission has an interest to do sufficient checks on it to make sure that it works for you. That's all.
Of course.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So let's hold that, and I understand your point. All right, Maureen, thank you for your comments. All right. So is there anything further on this? No. Could I have a motion to close the hearing on the project at 127 Bedford Street under Burlington Bylaw Article 14 for grading, landscaping, driveway extension, and buffer zone restoration?
So moved, did.
Second?
Gail.
Thank you, Gail. Dawn, how do you vote?
Yeah.
Gail?
Yes.
Indra?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, the hearing's closed. Okay, next, could I have a motion to approve the findings under Burlington Bylaw Article 14 as discussed? Is there a motion?
So moved, Indra.
Second, Bill.
Okay, second is Bill. Dawn, how do you vote?
Yes.
Gail? Well, we'll go back to you, Gail. Indra? We'll go back to Indra. Bill?
Yes, Indra.
Okay.
Yes, Bill.
Ed?
Yes.
Gail, you still online? I don't see Gail.
Here I am.
Okay, just nod your head, Gail. Gail votes yes. But I didn't catch it, but okay.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you
me?
now.
All
Yeah,
right,
now-
okay, I said yes.
All right, thanks, Gail. All right, chair votes yes. Okay, the findings are adopted, 600. Next, could I have a motion to issue the order of conditions for the project at 127 Bedford Street under Burlington Bylaw Article 14?
So moved.
So moved.
Second?
Second,
All
Ed.
right. Comments? None?
Yes.
Okay. All right, Dawn.
Yes.
All right, Gail.
Yes.
Indra.
Yes.
Phil.
Yes.
Ed.
Yes.
Chair votes yes. The permit is adopted. Is there an amount suggested for a performance guarantee?
2,500.
Could I have a motion to require the posting of a performance guarantee and $2,500 requested under Burlington Bylaw Article 14?
So moved.
Second?
Second, Ed.
All right. Dawn, how do you vote?
Yes.
Gail?
Yes.
Indra?
Yes.
Phil?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. 600. Performance guarantee of 2,500. Motion is adopted. All right. So, Maureen, thank you very much for all your contributions on this. And I think you're muted, Maureen.
Oh, thank you very much. Have a good night.
All right. Thank you. Good night to you. All right. So that one's done. Next, we have listed as enforcement discussion, 13 Pleasant Street. We've already had discussion on it. So the only question is, John or Eileen, do you have any further comments on what the letter should say? Is there any detail we can suggest to Mr. Brady that the detail of the enforcement letter might say?
So my recommendation would be that it be in an open swale so that it's easy to inspect, easy to maintain. Pipes get clogged. Obviously, there used to be a pipe through that property. Who knows what happened to it? And that's part of the problem here, that the old drainage easement wasn't maintained over the years. And I would also recommend that the commission require notification once the swale is installed and the commission do a site visit, so that the commission can inspect the project.
How does that sound, Mr. Brady?
That is totally fine with me. That works.
Okay, I told you we could resolve this.
Yeah, that sounds great.
The only question I have is, do you have any comment on where you're going to start the swale, as like how far over to the
I
right?
think,
or anything?
yeah, I think, yeah, I pretty much know exactly where it's funneling through and from, where I
Yeah.
can divert it. So it's basically, if you were at my backyard, the right side of my sports court comes in right there. Basically, just a line right around the back of the court, right to that drainage system.
Yeah, I was only asking the question to make sure you capture the water at the beginning. That's all.
Of course, yes.
Okay. Is there anything more needed, John or Eileen, on this, in your opinion?
Not at this time. I mean, it's all in the details, how well it's constructed. So we'll have to see once it's done.
Mr. Brady, do you have a comment? Have you thought about, like, you have quite a bit of elevation to play with, so that catch basin is a bit lower located. Do you have any how deep you were thinking of building this trench?
It is. I mean, I don't have it in front of me now, but I've had people that do site services that's all they do, and they've come out, engineered it, looked at it. So I can certainly provide that to you when the time comes to start the project.
All right, John, could we put that in the letter that Mr. Brady has agreed to give us some detail on how he plans to construct it, and you can give feedback if there's anything needs to be done.
Okay.
Does that sound good, Mr. Brady?
That sounds fine to me.
All right, okay. All right, so could I, does the commission have any further comments on this one?
It's great to see a resolution.
Kent, anything on this one?
Nope.
Okay. Any other commissioners have any further comment? I mean, I think we got the concept down and Mr. and Mrs. Brady accept what we're agreeing to, so. All right, so could I have a motion to issue a friendly enforcement letter to Mr. and Mrs. Brady outlining the parameters of what has been discussed at this meeting, that a swale will be constructed. And Mr. Brady will, the motion will say that Mr. Brady will provide some details of how deep it will be and whatever all the details he can come up with, and our staff will comment and provide for just a final inspection after it's done. I think, does that cover it? I mean, if that covers it, someone say so moved.
So move, Gail.
Thank you. Okay. All right, is there a second?
Second, Ed.
All right. All right, John, how do you vote?
Yes.
Gail?
Yes.
Indra?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Okay, the friendly enforcement letter issued to Mr. and Mrs. Brady has been approved, and Mr. and Mrs. Brady, thank you so very much for your cooperation on this. I think it is a critical part of handling the water in the area, to be honest.
Thank you for your understanding. I appreciate it.
All right, Ms. Callahan, nice of you to tune into all this discussion.
Anytime, just wanted to make sure it was finally done, I guess.
All right, I think we've done as much as everybody can do. You know, everybody, I think, has come together with some good intentions, and hopefully you'll notice some improvement in your backyard.
I do have a quick question before you close out. Does anybody have an estimate on how long this is gonna take?
Mr. Brady, when were you thinking about getting this done?
No, not the Brady's. I'm talking about 127.
Maureen, do you want to unmute and comment on the timeline?
They're hoping to do it sooner rather than later. Their backyard has been pretty exposed, so I think as soon as they get the opportunity to start working on their backyard and getting the plants, they're gonna do it.
No, I'm wondering how long it's gonna take.
I don't know. I mean, it's August now. They have to put in a number of plants. They need to construct a retaining wall. So I don't know, to be honest. I mean, it would be nice if it was this year, but you know.
Ms. Callahan, the permit is good for 3 years, but it sounds like they're probably more in a rush to get it done.
Yeah, I just want to know how long with what's gonna be the construction next door to my house. So that's what I was wondering.
I mean, you can't do any plantings this time of year. We're in a drought, so you really need to wait until the fall to do plantings.
So they can't do anything, correct?
What?
Well, they certainly could build a wall, perhaps.
Okay, so they can do that without planting first?
Yes. There was no restriction on the conditions.
Right.
Okay, so are we, I'm not trying to cut anybody off, but are we all set? Is there any other comments? Okay. All right, so the Brady's, thank you, Maureen, thank you, Ms. Callahan, thank you for tuning into all these meetings. Have a good night.
Have a good night.
Take care. All right, so we're going to move on to item 9, which is a public hearing. And John, you want to read that one?
Sure. Notice is hereby given the Town of Burlington Conservation Commission will hold a virtual public hearing on Thursday, October 13th, beginning at 8 p.m. Sorry about that. It's a little later than that. Via Cisco WebEx. The purpose of the public hearing is to take all information relating to a notice of intent filed by GTH Homes LLC for the construction of a new subdivision roadway called Mill Pond Lane with 3 house lots off of Chandler Road in Burlington. A portion of the proposed work would be within the 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetlands pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and Burlington Bylaw, Article 14, and also within the 100-foot buffer zone to a vernal pool under Burlington Bylaw, Article 14. The Commission will review all information relative to this application and may thereafter issue an order of conditions and Burlington Wetland Bylaw permit. The application may be viewed at the Burlington Conservation Department webpage. That's it.
All right, so we have some project.
You just went out. Can you hear me?
I hear you, Steve.
We can, Mr. Dresser.
Yep.
All right, you're in and out a little bit. Can I share my screen, John, or?
Yeah, you're muted, John.
I think you can, Steve. Let me know if you can't. There you go.
We there?
Yep.
You see it? Okay. For the record, Stephen Dresser, Dresser Williamson Way. I'm representing GTH Homes. Greg Hickox and Bob Richard, the applicant, are also here on the meeting. The proposal before you is a 4-lot subdivision. It has 3 homes, a roadway, the utilities, an associated drainage system, and a 4th lot that at this time is not to be developed. The intent of the 4th lot would be donating it to the town of Burlington. We're right next to the Mill Pond Conservation Area, and this would be I'm sure, a welcome addition to that area. We have previously appeared before the board for a resource delineation. There is a vernal pool on the project, as well as bordering vegetated wetlands. We did receive an ORAD and order a resource area delineation from the commission prior to this filing. Okay. When the applicants, who just so you know, they are actually intending on living in Mr. Richard in Lot 2 and Mr. Hickox on Lot 3 are going to build their personal homes there. When they first approached the town, they intended to build 3 frontage lots on Chandler Road. There's plenty of frontage to do that. They would have had the ability to create driveway easements and such, so they could build 3 houses. One of the houses would kind of be located behind another. When they went to the planning board suggested that that we kind of make the effort to look into whether or not we could do a kind of a reduced size road with the lots and create a subdivision with the thought that it would be more attractive and kind of fit into the neighborhood a little better. So Mr. Hickox and Mr. Richard asked me to look into that, and this is the result of that. One of the things the planning board has agreed to do is reduce the size of the right-of-way and the pavement in there. This will allow us to move this house on Lot 2 further than we would need to from the vernal pool system as well as the wetlands. Despite that, there's still a small portion of this lot that we're asking for a waiver from. There is an extra 100-foot protection from the vernal pool. So we're looking to clear up to, this area is about 105 feet from the vernal pool, and the house itself would be roughly 120 feet. So we're asking for a waiver to that. It's only on this small section of Lot 2 right here. And again, you know, the reason for that is you know, the extra protection that is warranted by the vernal pool. The drainage on this, it all kind of flows down this way. There's a high point up in this area and this area, and flows down to this. So everything kind of flows onto this lot and then down to the vernal pool. None of this flows towards the easterly neighbors or back toward the conservation area. And there's a little bit of a dip in here, so that the front of the road actually comes back onto the lot as well. The drainage is done consistent with the Massachusetts stormwater standards. The system itself, there's a catch basin at the low point of the cul-de-sac. Again, the flow from here, from the lots, and even the road flows down to this. This will then flow into an infiltration system. The infiltration system currently is designed with an isolator row, just to remove the suspended solids. The soil conditions out there warrant additional pre-treatment prior to the infiltration system. We had a 4-bay in here, but the Board of Health is the kind of the advisor to the planning board under subdivision control statute, and they do not like to see open water of any size. It was a very small 4-bay, would hold water for a very short time, but they still did not allow us to do that. Hence, we went to the isolator row. Beyond that, this week we heard from the town engineer that they are not comfortable with just an isolator row for the removal of suspended solids. They're concerned about the maintenance of it. And their suggestion would be that we put in like a storm scepter type unit in line with here. So that would mean the catch basin to a storm scepter to the infiltration system, currently with an isolator row. The catch to that is if we put in the storm scepter system, excuse me, we're actually not required to have the isolator row, which has already been approved by the Board of Health. So we're kind of in stormwater purgatory a little bit when it comes to the pre-treatment of the suspended solid. Everybody agrees, no increase in rate of runoff, 10 standards are met and such, but it's just kind of the, which tool we end up using for the pre-treatment for the infiltration system. So that's kind of where that stands. The worst case scenario in this would be we end up with both a storm scepter and the isolator row. It would be overkill, but if that ends up being the requirement, then that's the requirement, and we would have to install both those, I suppose. One of the things going on here, there is an existing trail on this property that goes to the Mill Pond Conservation Area, as well as another trail system on this lot, which is also town of Burlington. So obviously we're building the road on that. So the intent would be to put a new path from this area here up and connect it into that trail system. The path would be protected by a row of arborvitaes along the roadway, and also through conversation kind of with the neighborhood. I was brought up that path is generally just used by neighborhood people. People walk there to use it, to go out and enjoy the conservation area. And some concerns rose up with parking on this road. So Mr. Hickox has agreed to put no parking signs along that road, where there's a reduction in width from the regular subdivision control law that would make sense anyway. You don't really want cars parking on there, but he's agreed to do that. So that's pretty much sums it up. If you have any questions, I'm here again. Mr. Hickox, Mr. Richard are here as well. Thank you.
Okay, well, first we'll go to our staff, John and Eileen, and then we'll go to the commission, and then we'll go to abutters. We do have one abutters letter here with a few questions on it. So I think we should make a list. We don't have a lot of time tonight to address each and everything, but Mr. Dresser, you're familiar with our procedure. We make a list of things. You have the same list, and then you usually would send us our written letter to add to the file in your response. Does that sound good to you?
You broke out, I'm sorry.
I was trying to say that I thought we could make a list of any issues or questions and you could respond in writing.
Oh, sure. Yeah, however you choose.
All right, okay. All right, so John and Eileen, you have questions or comments or issues?
Sure, I'll start. So, first of all, I mean, I think this is a great plan. The fact that the town would be getting a nice, really nice parcel of land adjacent to the Mill Pond Conservation Area, which additionally has a vernal pool, would be terrific for the community. With regards to the trail, I did hear from an abutter, and what they said made sense to me. But even before I heard from them, my inclination is to actually put a new trail on the parcel that was going to be donated on the other side of the vernal pool. So a brand new trail, and then obviously we'd have to cut a trail on the conservation land to connect to it. But I think that would be further away from everybody's house. There is upland on the to the right of the vernal pool, and that way people wouldn't be cutting through the yards of the new houses or coming really close to the neighbors. And we wouldn't require the applicant to do that. I mean, we could take care of that ourselves. I just think that would be the more appropriate place for the trail. With regard to the stormwater, the original plan that you guys have, you have the original plan. It actually had a nice little LID feature preceding the infiltrator, which would have been nice. The Board of Health didn't like that. So now the applicant's in a tough position. And ironically, they're trying to get the 44% TSS removal, not because it's in a critical area. Like that's how we usually have it. It's just because of the permeability of the soils. But once again, if they put in a storm scepter, I would say don't require the. I mean, I know Steve doesn't want to go back to the Board of Health, but there's no need to put in the isolator row if they do put in a storm scepter. They don't need to do both. That is overkill. And as far as the waiver goes, I would certainly recommend, because of the fact that you're getting this whole vernal pool donated for permanent protection, granting a waiver for the encroachment into the outer portion of the vernal pool buffer zone.
So could you repeat that last thing, John? What you're saying?
Right, so they're looking for a waiver because they're encroaching into the buffer zone of the vernal pool.
Yeah, that is protected area under our bylaw.
Yeah. But because of what they're doing to protect the rest of the vernal pool, namely donating it to the town for conservation purposes for permanent protection, I think that's a good trade-off.
Right. The motion for the waiver should state that.
Right.
All right. So, okay. So comments, issues, or questions. Let's start with Kent. Do you have any comments, issues, or questions so far?
Not at this time.
All right. Don, do you have anything?
Got it this time.
Gail?
Yes, I have a question. So am I reading this, the post-development plan correctly? Do the property lines for these houses go into the wetland, the edge of the wetland?
Into the
lot
wetland.
3 does not extend to the wetland. But lot 2 slightly and lot 1.
Yeah, okay. So I guess my question is here, are we, in the conditions, would we require some kind of demarcation along that back so that, people won't be dumping stuff and things like that and you have a, presence that those are wetlands there?
So this plan shows a post and rail fence.
It does, okay, all right, I didn't see that.
Where is that post and rail fence?
Well, you can see it. You can see it labeled on lot 2.
Okay.
But that would be a requirement, obviously, of the commission.
Right, in the conditions, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, just checking that. And I agree with you, John, about the path from Chandler. I mean, I think that would be better because I thought I couldn't find it again, but I thought I saw when I was reviewing these earlier, the path looked like it was going to cut through the wetlands. But I'd rather be on Chandler Street for all the reasons you said. That's it for me.
Thank you. All right, Indra, you have anything on this?
Nothing at this time.
Bill, anything?
Yes, I agree that we need to demarcate with the fence to separate the wetland from the usable property. A couple of questions on the drainage system. I just want to make sure that test pits will be done to ensure that they will function, and, there'll be some documentation that they have adequate capacity.
Yes, we did do test holes that were witnessed by the Board of Health. I probably should have mentioned there's additional drainage mitigation from gutters through there's individual infiltration systems and stone around the buildings as well. And one of the Board of Health requirements is to perform additional test holes in that area. So all that will be taken care of.
Okay, thank you.
And Bill, additionally, the town engineering department reviewed the drainage calculations.
Great.
Okay, Ed, anything?
Nothing to add.
All right, I had a couple of questions. First is this subdivision you have proposed here, Mr. Dresser, is this going to interrupt the water going into the vernal pool in a significant way or not? Or how would you respond to that?
It's going to recharge to the groundwater system, so it will be captured. It will not have the same overland flow to the vernal pool, but it will go into the groundwater system quickly. As we stated, they're quickly what they call rapid infiltration rate soils. So it will into the groundwater at a good pace. Groundwater will eventually become water in the vernal pool.
So, Mr. Dresser, would you say that the groundwater flows in the same direction downhill, likely downhill
Yes.
as the topography?
Yes, with this type of soils for sure.
Okay, all right. Okay, so that should show up as a finding, possibly, Eileen, on this one. Second of all, it looks to me like, Mr. Dresser, particularly in Lot 2, there is almost no provision for a backyard. So what protection do you offer the commission with this plan that the majority of the 100-foot, which is supposed to be protected, is protected, and I don't know if you get what I'm saying, but I am concerned that it's going to be developed, and the purposes of our regulations is to provide the first 100 feet from the vernal pool as a resource area. So how do we?
There's very little. There's the roof runoff goes to the infiltration system. If you're concerned about the future use, I think Mr. Richard is on. He's the guy. He's going to live there. So if you want to, Bob, if you want to pipe in.
Sure. I intend to put not a post and rail fence. I intend to put a 5 to 6 foot solid vinyl fence for the backyard. It's going to be a small backyard. I don't really need a big backyard.
Yeah, I think we need to nail down what that is and whether the commission actually accepts that. I mean, I in concept, sir, I agree that if you're willing to have a small backyard and a fence, I don't know exactly what we need to do to nail down those details. We need to specify something, wouldn't we?
Well, it's showing there's a post and rail fence where that post and rail fence. It's showing where a post and rail fence is going to be, but instead of using a post and rail, I want to upgrade to a larger fence. I have a couple of small dogs that I don't want to get out of the yard.
I see.
So, I mean, that's going to delineate from the yard to the, the buffer zone, protect the buffer.
How many feet to the fence is that? sir, you know?
About 15.
And so, are you planning a deck on the wide part of the house, on the back of the house there, or?
Well, the deck is on the back of the garage, so the deck doesn't actually even extend beyond the house.
Yeah, the deck, the house is going to be designed so the deck falls in this little nook behind the garage, Larry.
Okay. All right. Well, how does the commission feel about that? This this gentleman who's going to live there suggests that he's going to have a very small backyard with, some people would consider that a plus with no grass to mow, but very little. So any comment from anyone, John or Eileen, or the commission? I guess we agree.
Sorry, it took me a while to find my mute button. This is Bill. My question is just on regulations itself here. So the vernal pool, the line of the high water mark, then there's 100 feet. That is all considered vernal pool. The next 100 foot is buffer zone. Where is a quote unquote no disturb area for something like this?
I mean, is it the first 20 feet of the second 100 feet supposedly?
Or is it 20 feet from the first 100 feet? You know, is it the first 20 feet of the buffer zone? Like it is for other resource areas.
John, do you have any view of this? 20-foot no disturb in a situation?
So I'd have to relook at the regulations. We have a 20-foot no disturb to bordering vegetated wetlands. I'm not sure that we have the 20-foot for the vernal pool. I'd have to check the regulations.
Okay.
All right. So let's say Conservation Commission will check 20-foot no disturb.
Yeah, because that would allow some flexibility in the distancing of that fence.
Right.
It could.
Yes. Yes. Okay. And Mr. Dresser, do your soil tests indicate that you will have 2 feet of separation from the bottom of the infiltration to the seasonally high groundwater?
Yes.
Okay, it's not close at all, or it's?
Oh, it's 2 feet plus. I mean, in some areas, I'm sure it's close.
Okay.
That's the requirement. So
And this is the seasonally high groundwater, right?
yes,
Okay, I'm reading soils on the test pits.
correct. Model
Okay.
soil, what they call redoxymorphic features now.
Oh, is that what it's called now?
Yeah,
Okay.
they graduated from modeling.
Okay. In the construction of this, how much disturbance is there going to be in that first 100 feet? And do they need to, you're going to need any restoration?
Well, there's no disturbance in the first 100 feet. The request is, and when John said it, I never really looked specifically at the bylaw. I was under the impression that the buffers were from the resource area.
Yeah.
So that 20 feet, it's 105 feet from the vernal pool. The resource area extending 100 feet from the vernal pool, you're within 5 feet of that quote resource area. But there's nothing within 100 feet of the vernal pool. And I don't know that area, but it's not, we're
The disturbance will be.
less than 1,000 square feet, I would say.
Okay.
But I honestly don't have the calculation.
All right, within that first 100 feet?
Nothing within the first 100 feet, but between the 100 and 120. Which, if your bylaws say a 20-foot no disturb from a resource area, we would need a waiver. If it says 20 feet from the bordering vegetated wetland, I don't believe we would.
Right. Well, obviously, we'll follow what our bylaw says.
Right.
All right, so we'll nail that down. Basically, I have a note here for clarify the 20-foot no disturb relative to the vernal pool and the wetlands in the situation. All right. I agree, John, with your comment that the storm scepter would be preferable, and I think the isolator row is duplicative, but you know, I'm not the, I don't know if I'm the one to decide that, so I'll just express that opinion. All right, and if an isolator row ends up being installed, will you have the ability to inspect basis? Is it easily inspected?
Yeah, it's an open, there's an open manhole at one end, and then there's an inspection ports on each row would have at least one inspection port.
Okay, all right. So I think now, do we have anyone in the audience for this? This is a public hearing, and we can take comments and questions from abutters and others.
Hi, Larry.
Yes.
Can you hear me? This is Bruce Carteret.
All right. Nice to see you.
Good to see you. Hi. And we're at 30 Chandler, so we are the immediate abutter on the eastern side of the development.
Yes.
And the proposed development, right? And a couple of comment and a few questions. So the first comment is to John. I very much appreciate your idea of moving this path to the other side of the property, because I think there was no way we weren't going to have people coming onto our land and creating a liability problem. And I think even if it is done, it would be, the comment I have here that we have is that it would be really good if the new pathway could be cut earlier rather than later, because I think if there's not a pathway for people to take while the development is being made, we're still going to end up with folks coming in over our property. But our main concern is one of water, and we're not even sure if really this is the right place to bring this up, but because we're on the eastern side and on the high side, I was looking at the development plans, the intent plans of for the proposed development, and they show that it looks, if I'm reading it right, that about 18,000 feet of our property flows, the water from that flows towards the development. So we kind of have a big concern about there being a few things, about there being an impervious road put right on the edge of our property that may impact that flow, because we already have a lot of wet area in our backyard in the spring, and a sump pump for 6 to 8 weeks. And then also there's going to be construction putting in basements and impacting possibly that flow. And as the road gets cut down, it's going to be cutting into the roots, removing trees there, and also probably cutting into the roots of the trees on our land, meaning that we'll probably lose some of those trees. So all of this gives us concern about the impact of this on the normal flow of the water from our land towards the vernal pool.
Just a clarification, sir, does the water on your land now go past where they're proposing the subdivision towards the vernal pool? Do you get overland flow from your property heading west?
We get mostly I'm saying it based on looking at their pre-developments, showing that the flow of water comes from the half-acre lot next door into that area. So that was, I raised my points sort of based on that. Yeah, and what we actually get in the spring is some standing water, after the winter thaw.
Sure.
And we have to have, but that puts pressure against the back part of our house, the western part of our house. And I'm just concerned that especially having the road put in there, it's just going to make all of this worse.
It's going to back it up more.
Yeah, Mr. Dresser, is that something you could take a look at along the boundary between the two?
Yeah, but there's no berm, there's no intention to block water, so the surface flow we'll just continue, we'll flow onto the roadway, and then into the catch basin. So there'll be no blockage of water coming down. It'll still be continuous flow.
So there won't be any elevation change.
There's no elevation change. There's no curb proposed on that side either.
Was that your intent, Mr. Dresser? Because we saw that, but we couldn't figure out why there was no berm on our side of the property. Because we're also concerned about, in the winter when there's sand and salt and whatever on the road, and it's going to get plowed onto our property, especially in the back of the cul-de-sac where the cul-de-sac literally touches our property line. So
the right of way, it is up to you, but the pavement is not up to your property line. So you're right in saying that, you see that circle, it's right on your property line, but the pavement is actually about, looks like about 8 feet off, and I can give you that exact distance. And the same thing down, at the entry to the road. And, the pavement, there is a distance there, and I'm thinking about 8 feet, but I don't have that in front of me.
Okay.
And
we had a discussion with Mr. Hickox last week, and he said that someone probably from your office would hopefully be coming out soon, and we'd get a chance to talk, and it would be good if that could
And
happen.
to see where the actual property line is.
Yeah, we talked about staking that line. We can stake that line if I believe Mr. Hickox said that was okay. We had intended to do it, I think, pre-development, but we can do it quicker. And I'll gladly be out there and explain it to you, with a set of plans in front of us and such.
That would be great. We really appreciate it.
Okay. So, Mr. Dresser, you'll agree to verify the distance that's unpaved from that eastern boundary.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right. Any further comments from anyone? Okay. So, I mean, what I heard was, and anyone can chime in, the list that I have is not too long. The issue of SOM scepter versus isolator row has to be, or both has to be sorted out on the final plan. Move the trail onto lot 4. We're going to check on the disposition of a 20, how the wording for a 20-foot no disturb relative to vernal pool versus bordering vegetative wetlands. And the distance to the eastern boundary that is unpaved next to 30 Chandler Road needs to be specified in a bit more detail. Is there other things that we're looking at? John, did you hear anything else that you need?
No, there's one other issue that I forgot to bring up. There's existing yard waste that's been dumped in the vernal pool over the years. So just a heads up to the applicants that we're going to put in the conditions that while you've got equipment out there, that some of that stuff be scooped out of there while you're out there. That's it.
Okay. Anything else?
It would be helpful to me if we had not only the line of, 100 feet from the BVW, but if we also had the line showing the 100-foot buffer from the vernal pool.
It doesn't show up very well on these plans, Bill, but it is on the plans.
It is.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm having trouble.
There's 100 vernal here. This dark line is actually the 120. That one came out. We used the right color on the map. The 100 is down here. You can see let me see if I can zoom in on it. Right here is.
Enlarge your view. You can see it on your own computer, Bill.
Okay, now that you pointed it out, I'm looking at a different version, I think.
And this is the 120 and the 140. It's just apparently was in a color that didn't scan well.
Okay, I see it now.
Anyway.
I thought that was just an elevation line. Okay, so that's the 100 feet from the vernal pool. All right, thank you.
I mean, I know it's getting late, but I just looked at the regulations. So the 20-foot and 40-foot are from all resource areas, so that includes vernal pools. So it would require waivers.
But it falls within the buffer zone. I was just reading it too. I'm like, it's a little, it says resource areas, but it's in section 21.9, which is buffer zones.
Right.
So
Well,
just
that's,
for,
that's buffer zones to all resource areas. It's not just buffer zones to
Okay.
BVW.
okay.
Buffer zones include other resource areas. Is that what you're telling me?
Right.
Okay.
So just the justification, John, for the waiver is that we're getting a substantial donation as Lot 4.
Right. Not just the donation. It'd be very protective of the vernal pool to permanently protect it.
Okay.
Right. So you're losing some of the buffer zone to the BVW, but you're to the vernal pool, but you're protecting a large area around it in perpetuity.
Okay.
Got it. Got it.
And
Okay.
that line that says 100 foot from the vernal pool is really under our bylaw definition.
That's the vernal pool.
Limit of
Right.
the vernal
That is
pool.
the vernal pool. Right.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So unless someone else has something to say, perhaps we should move along. The next meeting is September 10th. I assume, Mr. Dresser, you'll give us a motion to continue. You'll give us a note to continue till September 10th.
Yep. Yeah. Please do that.
Okay.
Do a
Anything
roll call.
else? All right. Is that supposed to be a motion, John?
Yeah, and a roll call. Yes.
All right. Could I have a motion to continue this hearing until September 10th? Is there a motion?
Move, Gail.
Second.
Second, Indra.
All right, Dawn, how do you vote?
Yes.
Gail?
Yes.
Indra?
Yes.
Phil?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, 600. This hearing is continued until the meeting in September 10th, virtual public. All right, very
you.
good. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Hi, Larry.
All right, next, we have, want to read the notice? We have one more public hearing. It's a notice of intent for 3 Lido Ave by Grace Castelluccio. Construct a new single-family house with filling and grading.
I'm sorry, I guess you're waiting for me. This is to take all information related to an erosion and sedimentation control permit application filed by Grace Castelluccio for construction of a new single-family dwelling with associated filling and grading activity at 3 Lido Avenue in Burlington. Application is being heard pursuant to Burlington Bylaws, Article 14, Section 6. Commission will review all information relative to this application and thereafter may issue an erosion and sedimentation control permit for the proposed activities. Application may be viewed at the Conservation Department webpage.
All right, is there someone here for this project?
She doesn't appear to be on right now, so I can just start. I can maybe share her plan and just describe what the situation is, and maybe she'll appear, if that's okay with everybody.
Please do.
Okay, well, actually, unfortunately, okay, so what happened was they got an administrative erosion control permit. I'm sorry, to build the I'm sorry, I'm trying to do this at the same time as I'm speaking. Give me 1 second to actually open this up. All right. Lido. I'm going to open it up with the original plan. Okay. So as I was saying, the applicant got an erosion control permit, an administrative erosion control permit for disturbance of land. How do I make this bigger? Under 20,000 feet back in January, because that was their plan. As you can see, they had a proposed limit of work that was going to keep them around 20,000 square feet. But since then, they put in the foundation and they discovered that really this limit of work was just not possible to adhere to. So at various times they've moved the wattles and they've kind of gotten in trouble with me for that. So they came back and decided that they actually want to grade the whole property, which means they're adding this 5,000 square feet in addition to the original 20,000 square feet. And they want to remove some great big boulders down here, either pare them down or remove them and grade across this land. So it meant that it now becomes a full erosion control permit application. This is the old plan. They haven't yet gotten us the new one. It was supposed to be in by today, but it isn't. So at least this gives us an idea about the size. So the existing foundation is in place. It's an enormous house. The square footage is approximately 4,506 square feet. And then the driveway is also large. It's about 2,160 feet. The driveway is pitching back towards this a drainage feature, and then a stone trench, and overflow will go into the dry well. They hadn't yet really figured out what they were going to do for stormwater infiltration for the house. So when we were out on site yesterday, Larry and some of the other commissioners noticed that there is a kind of I don't even know what to call it, a trench, a gully back here. And Larry wondered if they could use that for some kind of stormwater. And in fact, that is exactly what the engineer has proposed. He did, even though he didn't get the new plan to us, he did at 5 to 7 sent a detail, which I hadn't even had a chance to look at because literally it was 5 to 7. And we can just take a look at that and see if that makes anything clearer. Oh, here we go. Maybe this is the whole plan. Okay, somebody's sighing even more deeply than me. Okay, so, this in that case would be the stone swale that I think he's talking about over here, along where the arborvitaes, I think they were. A 4 foot wide, what it says, 4 foot wide stone trench to be installed with a stone swale, washed stone filter fabric. So anyway, there it is. Since Grace isn't on, I kind of described as best I could what the plan is.
So,
is somebody else on to speak?
All right. So, all right. Let's just see if there's any comments first, and then we'll go from there. Dawn, Kent, Gail, or Indra. This is an erosion and sedimentation.
Yeah, so you mean the plan that Eileen just showed, you mean it's kind of difficult to comment on that without actually having it.
Without having the plan, I can forward it to everybody now, but I mean,
yeah, it's kind of late. I think it's kind of late. Yeah.
Right.
All right. All right. I just called on Kent, Dawn, Gail, and Indra. How about Bill and Ed? Any comments?
I have a comment that I'm not crazy about just using a stone trench for all the rooftop runoff from a house of that magnitude. I mean, that 4,500 square feet that you mentioned is just the footprint of the house. So there's a lot of rooftop there. And there's a pretty significant gradient down right from that, right at the edge of that trench down to the property behind it. To me, it should be more comfortable if it were infiltrated into the ground closer to the house.
Yeah, Bill, I was thinking along similar lines. I was thinking that they need, and for something that big, rooftop and land, they need an engineered trench with a detail, a cross-section detail. And I thought on the far left-hand side, perhaps they need a dry well of some sort for the water to go into.
It's still, you're infiltrating it right at the edge of the property with a significant gradient.
Yeah. Well, we have to make sure the water, even if they put it into a dry well, we don't want it to break out on the lower level of the house below it.
Exactly.
So you need to have some, I mean, I think this needs a little bit of engineering attention to it.
I agree.
Right. John, do you have a comment on that?
No, I agree. So there's 2 driveways apparently. So that in addition to the giant house, there's a driveway on either side. The one on the right-hand side has a trench on the bottom, I guess, but yeah, I mean, this property is significantly higher than Dartmouth Street, so they need to get the water in the ground.
Right. And not have it break out on the lower level, otherwise the neighbor's gonna be flooded.
Right.
All right, so you folks, the office will have to convey that to them, that they need to get more detail. Do they need any erosion controls in the front at all? Anybody who was there feel they could use some erosion controls in the front? It slopes gradually to the street in front too.
I do feel they could use erosion controls, but they at this point I mean, by the time it got to me, the demolition had already happened, and yeah, I'll get them to put some more erosion.
I mean, it's unstable in front now. Is there comments from anyone else? Those are the two issues. How to handle the water, and I'll make a little erosion in front, controls in front. In the meantime, do we need any erosion controls in the back?
There are erosion controls in the back. There are the wattles that they put in the back ended up in the gullies that we were talking about earlier. So the gullies do actually, whatever I want to call them, those little trenches, they're probably catching any sediment anyway, as well as the wattles. I think the front definitely, back not so much.
I'm not sure about that. I don't know. But
we can look at that too. Is there somebody else here who wants to talk about this project?
Yes.
Hi, this is Anthony Matarazzo, actually. I live on 2 Dartmouth Road.
Sure.
And I just, so I'm definitely concerned about this. And I think the more that I'm hearing you talk about it, I think the more that I'm getting concerned. As you've already mentioned, I've seen the foundation. It's an extremely large home. One of the back corners of that lot abuts my property on Dartmouth Road. And based on my eyeball test, I'm definitely downhill from it. And my backyard sort of pitched right from that back corner right to my house. So any water that's going to come that way is going to come right at my house. And to be perfectly honest with you, any of you that are sort of familiar with this neighborhood, my family and I have been living in the middle of a disaster area for 4 years now because of an ongoing subdivision that has a cease and desist on it due to drainage issues. So here I am now. I've got subdivision going on. The house across the street from me was raised and is being rebuilt. It's not part of the subdivision. And now I've got this going on. So I'm literally surrounded by construction. But that's, I guess, neither here nor there. I'm simply here to make sure that the volume and the rate of the runoff post-development is equal to or better than it was pre-development. So I'm pushing for as much infiltration as possible. And I'm just asking for your assistance to please ensure that my family and I are not going to have to worry about water. I also want to go on the record as saying that I've been living in this home for 9 years. Been through many storms. Been through subdivision, like I said, that has a complete redesign of the road. And I've never had a drop of water in my basement. So I want to make that known as well. And that's really, I guess, it for right now. I think there's going to be a lot more discussion on this. So I'll just leave it at that. And I'll continue to join these and pay attention to what's going on.
Sure. Those comments are very well said. The concern is certainly valid. John, how is the applicant's not here to hear all this? John and Eileen, what are we going to do to sort of communicate what they need to do here?
Well, I can be in touch with her, and I'll forward on the commission's concerns and your request that they provide a much more robust engineering plan. And
I think they need to have a professional design something to handle the water. I mean, to be honest with you.
I'm not sure what the name of the person was who sent the. Oh, it's in my email. I thought he was an engineer, but I'll make sure that it's somebody who's got the appropriate qualifications.
The plan stamped by a surveyor.
It was a surveyor. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, clearly they need some
Oh wait,
engineering.
no, I take it back. He's a PE, John Sullivan.
Okay.
Okay.
He's got two. There are two stamps on it: a surveyor and a PE. They both stamped it.
All right. So I think it's the right person, including the applicant, to direct these comments to. All right. Is there anything further on this? If not, I'll have a motion to continue to September 10th.
So moved, Ed.
Second?
Second, Gail.
All right, Don, you vote?
Yep.
Gail?
Yes.
All right, Indra?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. This hearing at 3 Lido Ave is continued to September 10th. All right. Mr. Matarazzo, thank you for tuning in. September 10th will be the next meeting. You're certainly welcome to join us, just as you have done today.
All right, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Of course. Take care. Have a good night, sir. All right, so now we're enforcement updates. Is there anything?
There's really nothing pressing given the hour. I can wait till the next meeting to update you on stuff.
Planning board comments, anything pressing on that? We need to say anything?
Just the Mill Road, the Mill Pond subdivision.
Do we want to express a preference for the storm scepter to them?
Certainly.
Okay, maybe the committee, maybe we could write the commission seems to express a preference, or does express a preference for a storm scepter versus the isolator row. Subcommittee and staff reports, updates, anything? Nothing. Next meeting, September 10th, September 24th.
We do have other business.
Other business?
Yep.
Nothing?
Oh, no, we do. Adam Lapon is on, and he was hoping that we could discuss his proposal to expand his driveway. It's at 82 Wilmington Road. In fact, I can share his plan. I think Adam is on here, so maybe he can talk, and I'll share the plan that he sent. If that's okay with everybody.
Sure, Mr. Lapon, would you like to say a few things?
Oh, I see his.
He may not have a microphone, so.
Oh.
But you can, on his behalf. Eileen?
Well, I may open this. So this was the subject of an enforcement order back about a year ago because he inadvertently cut down trees that were right on the riverfront of the Ipswich River. He subsequently submitted an NOI to do his house addition there, and he proposed a restoration plan. Oh, here we go. Now, as part of his ongoing house projects, he would like to just make some changes to his driveway, which is
there
set
he
the
is.
plan here. Is he able to talk now?
Unmute yourself, Adam.
Okay.
You guys hear me?
Yes.
We can hear you now, sir.
Sorry, I'm at work and the Wi-Fi is a little spotty.
Sure. We appreciate your patience. This was an awfully large meeting, so you have waited a long time for your moment to talk.
I appreciate the fact of you allowing me to talk. So they.
All right. We'll have Eileen describe what you want.
Yeah, it's a little hard to hear, Adam. So there is an
You certainly
existing
are welcome to
driveway.
talk.
part of which is gravel. So
Eileen?
what he would, what? Can you hear me? Or is he going to talk? Oops, am I muted?
Gail, I don't know how easy it is, but he might do better to call in because you're.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Now we can, yeah.
Yeah. Do you have the number, Mr. Lapland, to call in?
I have the email. I can call in.
It might be easier if your Wi-Fi is not working well.
His voice is good now.
It's okay now, yeah.
That's okay now.
Yeah, if you shut off the video, sometimes it's enough to have like a voice call on this web thing.
Hello?
Yep.
I called in. Can you guys hear me better?
I think so, yes. Are you on a phone now?
Yes, I'm on a phone.
Okay, so would you like to say a few words, sir?
Yeah, so I talked to Eileen, and what we're going to do is, right now I have half of my driveway is pavement, the other half is gravel, and I reached out to see if it was possible to pave the entire driveway.
Okay.
And I also reached out to, so I reached out to you guys at Conservation, and I also reached out to Mr. Hayes for permission to make sure you guys gave me permission, and then to make sure that he would give me permission to do it as well.
Okay, comments by John or Eileen on this one?
I'm not sure if John's going to say anything, but I was just going to say that as I explained, this had been the subject of an NOI, and he worked with Norse Environmental to propose this restoration plan. He's been very, very, very diligent about working with us, and he's been very good to work with. So I think that this is a change that can be made to the order of conditions under a minor engineering change if you're amenable to that.
Okay. The edge of the pavement is about how many feet to the wetlands? It looks like it's pretty far out.
It's outside the 100-foot buffer to bank. It's in the outer riparian.
All right. All right. Do you have any objection to the paving, Eileen?
I don't. We spoke to Adam about making sure that this is pitched such that it is not going onto the roadway. And I believe he might be able to give us some more detail about that. But that is their plan.
And one last question, and then let's go to the commission. Can we do this as a minor engineering change?
I think so. If you're asking me, sorry.
Yes. All right. So let's go. Kent, Dawn, or Gail, anything on this one?
Just a rough estimate, how much of the area is being paved? What was gravel? So
it's approximately 525 square feet.
Existing driveway is how long? The one paved part?
The driveway is approximately, I would say, 80 feet long.
So it's going to be like close to a 600-foot driveway in length?
Yeah, the driveway itself is already pre-existing. The size that we're not changing the size of the driveway. The only thing that we're changing would be the entrance. We're going to make the driveway a little bit, it was recommended that we make it a 20-foot entrance because we have, oh, hold on one second. We have Wilmington Road, Prouty, Alcine, and then we also have the 62 Plaza right there. So there's about 5 or 6 places where cars are constantly going in and out. So we're not changing the size of the driveway. What we're doing is we're just going to pave over a part of the driveway that is already gravel.
Right, I understand.
All right. How about Indra and Bill? Comments?
I don't see any problem with
It
this.
appears, this is Indra. It appears to me, yes, we can consider as a minor engineering change.
All right, thank you, Indra. How about Bill? Anything?
Yeah, I agree. It's pre-existing, and as long as it slopes, like we said, not towards the street, I don't see a problem.
All right, Ed, how do you say?
Same thing. I'm for it.
Yeah, Mr. Lampone, I think you have been good to work with to correct the unfortunate cutting on the property, and you have adhered to the instructions of the commission, and I see no reason why we can't approve this as a minor engineering change.
Thank you.
So with that as a motion, could I have a motion to approve a minor engineering change for the project that Mr. Recton described to pave over the existing gravel?
So moved. Indra.
Second?
Ed, so
Second,
moved.
Gail.
All right. Don, how do you vote?
Yes.
Gail?
Yes.
Indra?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Ed?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. That's 600. The paving of the gravel driveway is approved, sir.
Thank you very much, guys.
All right. Thank you for staying on so long, waiting for this moment.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Take care. Good luck.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. All right. Next on the agenda is adjournment. Without further consideration, is there a motion to adjourn this meeting?
So moved. Ed.
One question.
Yes.
Why didn't we take that guy under citizens' time? Then he wouldn't have to wait so long. He was an item not on the agenda.
He was actually working until 10. He was hoping to be back. We thought this meeting was going to run on so long he might be home and
he
had to
was.
do it for other business.
No,
But
no, we really wanted him to wait to see how badly he wanted it.
he wasn't available at 7.
Second the motion for adjournment, Gail.
Gail, is there a motion on the floor?
Yeah, I second the motion.
There you go. Don, how do you vote?
Yes.
Gail?
Yes, please.
Indra?
Yes, definitely.
Bill?
Yes.
Ed?
You bet. Yes.
Absolutely. The chair, yes. Good night. Have a good night. Thank
Good
you
night,
for-
everybody.